All right, welcome into the Ryan Ripken Show. Happy Thursday. We're almost to Friday, and it's our last scheduled show of the week. We're having a good time. We have some great things planned for you guys all today. Let's run it through real quickly. Apparently, allegedly, it's trade rumor season already. It's probably just because in Baltimore, team has found some ways to lose some games, and then people are wondering, well, who's on the block? Cedric Mullins and Felix Bautista? We'll dive into that rumor here later on, but the O's are not the only team in the American League East with a little bit of struggle, frustration. How about the Red Sox, who might be dealing with the most dysfunctional situation at this current moment in time? We'll explain that. We're going to go around Major League Baseball to give you more context of what's happening. A very interesting occurrence that happened out in Los Angeles last night. We'll break that down between the Yankees and the Angels. And then maybe some tidbits that are too, I don't want to say unbelievable, but you'll have to hear them and you'll be shocked with the results. And then Joe Flacco is talking about some things in Cleveland that you may or may not have heard before. All of that and a whole lot more here on this lovely Thursday. And to my right in studio, Mr. Zach Bollinger, happy Thursday, my friend.
Happy Thursday. Good to be here. Off day for the Orioles, just talking sports. A lot of fun drama in the AL East right now. Don't you love it?
No drama. No drama. There's a lot of drama.
Yeah, a lot of drama.
A lot of drama here. And for the first time, behind the sticks, intern Sam.
Hey, everybody.
How we doing, Sam?
I'm doing well. How's everybody else?
Doing great,
It's a great Thursday.
How's it feel back there? You getting used to it?
It's a little bright, but I think I'm going to have fun back here. It's going to be good.
So it's intern Sam. Some people call him a mini Kevin, which I don't know if that's
I don't know if it's a compliment, but I like it.
It's
a
something.
Kevin. It's a comparison.
It definitely is a comparison. I think the only thing about that is that I am a little taller than Kevin, so I don't know if I'm exactly a mini version of him. I could definitely be a younger version of him.
Yeah, I don't know if when you say I want to grow up and be a Kevin Ostraker, I don't think that's what personally that's what I'm not trying to do.
British Raven. Is it possible to be a mini Kevin? I don't know. I think it's just the younger Kevin.
A younger
Yeah,
because
not many.
yeah. We do have some height challenge individuals on this show here.
Jeez, give me a break.
Hey, that's you know what? It's all good. Because while you might not have the height, I don't have the hair, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. We did cook yesterday, so recapping the week so far, it's been eventful. We cooked yesterday, had a fantastic time doing that. And on Tuesday, we had Jerry Harrison Jr. join the show. Yeah. Andy Costco with Baltimore Banner joined the show. Today, no scheduled guests at the moment. I was hoping to be able to tease you what we have coming up this Sunday. I got to sit down with a guest that was one of my favorites to sit down with, and definitely a character with a lot of great insight into the baseball world. So we'll get into all that and more as we jump into our first topic. And again, this is brought to you by our friends over at Merit Clubs, meritclubs.com right behind. If you guys saw yesterday, we had our fitness segment where Zach Bollinger once again lost.
Glutes are on fire.
You did 40 squats.
Lunges.
Lunges.
I realize I don't hit my glutes as much as I thought I did because I definitely I was walking yesterday and I was like, yeah, that doesn't feel great.
Did you guys get a warm up for that? Did you just have them run it raw? Oh,
cold.
Okay.
There's nothing the human body likes more than just quick, sudden movements and having to be athletic out of nowhere without stretching.
Sam, it's almost like a dynamic warm-up if you want to put it that way.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Because all he did was put a weight vest on,
It's just,
Okay. And then had him do 40 lunges?
Just do lunges.
Back and forth.
Some would say that's just the warm-up. And maybe we'll build up here, but our friends at meritclubs.com, you can check them out for more details. Look, they're offering something till June 15th. If you sign up for the first month, you get the second month for free if you just if you show up for the first 12 days. Not even 12 days, I'm sorry. 12 days in the first 30. You go to the pool, you go in there to a spin class, you can be like Zach and just stretch out and walk on the treadmill, whatever you want to do, but you get another month free if you just go there and go for 12 days at Merit Club. So we appreciate their support here as we continue to grow. And we appreciate each and every one of you that helps us grow here at the Ryan Ripken Show community. Now, boom. Let's do it. So, guys, there's some rumors circling around because the Orioles felt good for 3 games.
We'll have those 3 games forever.
Have them forever.
Held on to them in our hearts.
And unfortunately for the squad, they had opportunities to not only win the series, they could have won every single game. They had the lead in each game. And the Cardinals were able to have a big inning or 2 and come from behind and ended up winning the last 2 games of the series. And ultimately, they won 2 of 3 in the series. And now the Orioles are going to welcome the Chicago White Sox in. And who would have thought? In this case, 2 of the worst teams in the American League are facing off at the end of May going into June. Now, people had a good expectation of where the White Sox would be, but this is not where people thought Baltimore would be. And now the rumors are swirling because, well, veterans on going into free agency. Do you sell? And who do you sell? But the recent one I want to talk about is the Philadelphia Phillies. There's just this talk that they have interest in a couple of Baltimore Orioles, one of them being outfielder Cedric Mullins. They feel that they could upgrade at the center field position. That's the rumors out there. That's number one. Then number 2, I don't know where it exactly came from, but that some teams, including Philly, would be interested in Felix Bautista. And first and foremost, who wouldn't be interested in Felix Bautista if he were available? Yeah. And 2, don't believe everything that you're hearing, that the Orioles would give away Felix Bautista. So you're probably wondering, why are we having this conversation? Right? I know. Sam, you're probably wondering, why are we having this conversation?
Why are we having this conversation, Ryan?
I will tell you that, Sam. So the reason being is the Orioles are in a situation where they are not in a rebuild if they are not going to be a playoff team this year. They're in a retool. So who are you retooling with is going to be the ultimate question. Cedric Mullins is going to hit free agency, and if you're not going to re-sign him, would you sell him off to a team that could be like the Philadelphia Phillies? Makes sense. But we've also talked about, Zach, veterans that matter to this team. Felix Bautista, to me, I don't see that happening at all. I think that's just the sexy name that gets thrown out there, and you go, well, wait a minute, it gives the reaction. I would be just gutted if Felix got traded because I wouldn't understand it from any way, shape, or form. He's your guy at the end of the game. You're going to need him next year, whatever it may be. Cedric Mullins is interesting, Zach, because we go back and forth. If someone's going to pay a premium price to get him, the Orioles are probably going to listen to that offer. But the question is, are you willing to sell off a veteran where your team should be back competing in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, it begs the question. I'm totally on board with you about Felix Bautista. I mean, he's got still, after this season, he has 2 more years of arbitration. You do not sell off Felix Bautista unless, we're going to talk Phillies right now. If I'm Mike Elias and the Phillies are like, hey, we're looking at Felix Bautista, I'd be like, awesome. Andrew Painter, number 5 prospect in baseball, right-handed pitcher. Toss him in, and you can toss in, Justin Crawford, who's the 56th overall prospect in baseball, and then we can start talking. Could they trade Felix Bautista? Yeah, but the price would the offer would have to be absolutely insane. I don't see it happening. With Cedric Mullins, though, it's interesting because, like you said, it is this kind of retool. And me and Kevin have been talking about this on Kevin and Zach React after games. If you don't, they're in a position where if you do not see them with you on the future, and this goes for Cedric, this goes for Eflin, this goes for Sugano, but specifically here, Cedric, I personally think Cedric, with the leadership and then what he brings to you in the outfield, on and off the field, his defense, he is a guy that I would love to see here for give him a 2-year extension. Let him produce when this team is competitive again next year. Because like you said, this isn't a full rebuild. This isn't, hey, we're going to compete in 2 years. This is, hey, next year we're going for it again. So I think the Orioles in the next month and a half are going to have to make that decision of who do we want to bring back? And those guys you hang on to. the guys, the Suganos, the Eflin, the Cedrics, the O'Hearns, if you're like, okay, that's a guy we want to go after and extend, you keep them. But if there's a guy in that group that you're like, hey, we don't see them in our future, I think you do have to start listening. I think Cedric would probably get you especially the way he's been playing, probably the biggest haul, because he is a veteran center fielder that you can plug in, and he's going to be an upgrade for a lot of teams defensively and offensively. And I'm not surprised that he's, thrown in rumors. I mean, what team wouldn't want a center fielder who's been what he's been through, who's struggled, who's fought back, and then is producing at the level he is? I mean, 30-30 type guy. He's playing like he's on pace for it right now. So, I mean, it's hard not to see why teams are calling about him.
And I do think there's merit to this, that the Phillies are interested, because last year we heard it from Philadelphia, and they ended up getting Austin Hayes. Now, Austin Hayes, it didn't work out for Philly. It seems to be working out so far in Cincinnati for Austin Hayes, but the Orioles do have some outfield talent.
And I think that's, when it comes to this stuff, it is one of those situations where, because of Baltimore, like the talent is there in the outfield, coming in the minors. You have Bradfield, you have Honeycutt, you have Beavers. So you have guys that you look at and you're like, okay, they can supplement and, quote unquote, replace Mullins. But it's, Ryan, it feels like the same argument we've been having is, okay, you can only be so young. You need those veterans who have been there, done that, who can command a locker room. So it's not just about, oh, well, they have prospects that they can bring up. You can't have your entire team. Adley can't be the oldest guy on the team. You have to have these veterans. That's why I think it's so valuable what Ryan O'Hearn's doing on and off the field. It's what I think is so valuable about Seti, what he does on and off the field to help this team that's not always going to be seen in the stat book and in the stats. So I think they have to make a decision. When it comes to Ryan O'Hearn and Seti, I think you have to keep one of them. Just if you lose those two veteran voices, I don't think it bodes well for you next season. So, I do think it's a situation where you have to be, make tough decisions, but you can't just look at it at the stat sheet. You have to, and the analytics of it. You have to understand creating a ball team and creating an entire team and the personalities that you need in there, not just the stats.
There's more that goes into making a roster, goes more into having things come together. It's not always going to be, do the stats align? Yeah, the stats are great. On paper, it always looks good, but it's the intangibles, Sam.
Mm-hmm. And I think excuse me, and I think locker room culture and leadership is really something that often, you really only hear about it when it's either it's excellent or there's something wrong in the locker room. Like with Hyde's whole thing before he got let go was, is this guy losing the locker room, right? When culture starts failing big, that's when people start putting their eyes on that, and they start to point fingers and be like, who's responsible for this moment? Where are our leaders and all that stuff? And you really only see that when it's, a locker room is excellent or it's really poor in that moment. And whereas with a stat sheet, you just look it up. You just point at it. You go, okay, here's what this guy's doing. Here's how he's producing behind the plate. What kind of value is that adding to the team? And then, you can construct an entire argument around that. But if there's not, the headlines that are telling you what's going really right or really wrong in the clubhouse at that moment, then that value, that leadership and veterancy and culture brings can easily fly under people's radars.
Oh, no doubt about it. And I think what I also want to point out, when you look at the teams that go out there and have success and the teams that get hot down the stretch, right? Like the New York Mets last year, were they the most talented team in baseball? Absolutely not, right? But did they build up confidence, and did they have good pieces, and then that culture? And with Jose Iglesias' song OMG, oh my God, yeah, like that's a real thing, right? And it took them all the way to the NLCS. They beat the Philadelphia Phillies, who were the best team in baseball at the time.
It's actually
right?
funny. A year ago today was when Jorge Lopez threw his glove into the stands, and the Mets are the worst team in baseball, or was it a mistranslation? All that, and the Mets were currently a year ago today 22-33.
And then
So
the grimace effect.
yep,
struck.
and then when teams get hot, crazy things can happen. So
crazy things certainly can happen here. And I see people talking about the other name with Ryan O'Hearn. And this is what I honestly talk about. And the Orioles had the luxury of, you have so many talented players that you got to go out there and let them play that are prospects. You got to choose which one, but they're also the Orioles where it wasn't the rebuild anymore. You were competing to be the number one team in the American League. You were competing to make a run the postseason. So it wasn't like, let's just say in other circumstances where you can look at, the Rockies, where they're like, hey, you throw someone out there, see what happens. Even if you go and look at the Nationals down the road, who they got some studs and they're looking to compete, but the understanding is they're getting there. They could make a jump this year, or if it doesn't happen, we have guys that are getting the reps. I mean, James Wood looks like nothing short of a superstar down there. CJ Abrams gets his reps. Robert Hassel Jr. or the third gets called up. So there's my point, on and on. The Orioles have players that can go out there and help a team win and go to the playoffs. Why? Because they've done that. But then who replaces that? And are you okay with the growing pains? Because then there's Ryan O'Hearn, who's having a career year. And Ryan O'Hearn is in fuego. He's doing everything humanly possible that he can do. And a lot of teams that would be in the hunt would definitely want him. But what's the price for Ryan O'Hearn? That's going to be number one. And if the price is good, you're going to listen. And then number two is, if you trade him, do you think you'll be able to get him back? Like, do you think that you would be able to re-sign him? And then the third thing is, when you are looking to shape your roster moving forward, say the Orioles don't get back in it, that's a lot of production. So that's my point. Where does the production come from? And for fans, I'm asking you, will you be comfortable if a prospect comes up that it might need growing pains, or would you rather someone else come in that fills the void, or you keep that player that is productive? And that is ultimately the biggest discussion. I think if the Orioles were to make a trade, fair to say people would like to see a starting pitcher in the mix.
Definitely.
Abel is the big one from Phillies. Painter was another one I was hearing. And both those guys look like they can deal. Looks like they can deal. But we will have to wait and see, because above all, guys, they're just rumors. And what's not a rumor? What's not a rumor is that you can hit that like and subscribe button right now. That is a fact. And if you subscribe, join the membership here. Become a part of the community, just like British Raven, by the way, who is a member for 11 months and getting closer to the Rocco face emoji. I know it's terrifying. I don't know why we put that one in there, but it is a part of it. But we appreciate all of our channel members. You guys help us continue to grow here on YouTube, X, Instagram. Oh, and by the way, we are on Spotify and Apple. So go subscribe there. Leave us a review.
Fans.
Yeah, whatever you want. Wherever it's available for a podcast.
Go find it.
Go find it. Intern Sam will go find it for you. We will tell him to do that.
I'll be on the hunt. Be scouring every platform I can. See if we're out there. Who knows? Maybe somebody's been finding our stuff and is putting it in places we don't even know.
We don't even know.
happened before.
It actually has happened a lot of times before, but good kids. Back to trade rumors, though. Another rumor, but it wasn't a rumor because it felt like it was going to be a foregone conclusion that the biggest trade chip going into 2025 was a Miami Marlins pitcher, because he was coming back from Tommy John, and it looked like in spring training that his stuff, the velo, everything was there. And that's Sandy Alcantara. And Sandy, man, it has been a rough go.
It really has.
For the former Cy Young Award winner. But John Heyman was on MLB Network earlier and actually talked about, well, what is the buzz going around for pitchers? And surprise, surprise, Sandy's name is still in that circle. So let me play that clip for you guys.
people are still talking about is Alcantara, which is a little shocking to a lot of us who look at the stats, and he's got an 8.47 ERA. He did get hit. The command is really the issue, and that is often the issue coming back.
I can't hear anything.
John,
Sam, can you?
Let's try putting it back on. Let's try that.
One more time.
Talking about is Alcantara, which is a little shocking to what the one people are still talking about is Alcantara, which is a little shocking to a lot of us who look at the stats, and he's got an 8.47 ERA. He did get hit. The command is really the issue, and that is often the issue coming back off of Tommy John. But I think teams, scouts feel that this guy will be back by the time of the trade deadline, and that's the guy that's most being talked about. There are a lot of other guys who are potential trade guys. Most of them are on teams that are kind of on the borderline of contending, and with 12 out of 30 teams making the playoffs now, there are not going to be a lot of these guys traded, so this is the guy in everybody's mind.
So that last point was there's a lot of teams still in it, so why would they want to trade a guy, right? But then Sandy, people are still infatuated with him. Why? The talent. And one thing that people want to look at and say, oh, he's washed and he's trash. Coming back from Tommy John doesn't mean you're just going to snap back into it and have success. And it's specifically, too, as a starting pitcher where the pressure is on you and a lot of teams are watching you, not everyone is going to get off to that hot start back. Now, if you look at his numbers, and I like to go to Baseball Savant. That's just one of the places I like to go to. Fastball velo is still pretty much up there. 97 miles an hour is what he's getting up to. He's still sitting around 95 as a whole. But the problem is that the walks have been an issue for him. The control has been an issue for him. And when you look at his numbers right now on batting average, four-seamer, they're in 345 off his fastball, sinker 267. And then his out pitches just aren't having that same impact that you had seen. You want to drop it back further when he was really having success. And we can even go back to 2021. People were hitting 189 off of his slider. It's up 40 percentage points right now, right? When you're looking at his other off-speed pitches, every single one of them was lower on an expected batting average. So Sandy, what it's telling me is, one, the stuff isn't exactly playing the way that he wants. But another thing is that he doesn't have control. And we've seen it, at least in Baltimore, with certain pitchers. If you don't have control, you're going to have trouble getting guys out. And for Sandy, we're going to go look at his numbers one more time for the one time. Zach, do you want to guess how many walks Sandy had back in 2022 in 228 innings?
50.
Wow. I feel like you looked at that, but
Was
you're
it
right.
50?
Yeah, 50
I
walks.
was going to say 40, but then I was like, you know what? I'll go. He gave a walk every 4 innings.
So he has 50 walks in 228 innings in 2022. Sam, right now, how many walks do you think Sandy has through 51 innings of work?
Through 51 innings of work, how many do I think he has? Considering he's having such a rough year, considering he's used to volume, I'm going to put it, let's go with 39.
Close. 10 below.
10 below.
29.
Okay.
So he's got 29 free passes in 51 innings. Now, he's never been a big strikeout guy, 40 strikeouts in 51 innings. In 2021 and in 22, he had less than a strikeout per inning as his average, right? So nothing's really changed there, but the walks. So if you're pitching to contact more times than not, and then on top of that, you're now giving free passes, so you're pitching to contact, your pitches aren't where you want to locate them, that's where you're seeing the results. And I'm with you here, Joey. I think that he is a great buy low candidate. However, if I'm the Marlins, I ain't moving him right now. Why would you move him?
I just don't think he's a buy low candidate. It's like you're saying. I like he would be a fantastic buy low candidate, but I don't think the Marlins are going to move him if he's a buy low candidate. Like, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, okay, he's not at the same. We'll just sell him off for, lesser prospects. I think they're going to hold on to him, like you said, Rip, why would they trade him if his stock's low? They still have him for what, 2 more years, 3 more years on his contract. So why wouldn't you, sit there and be like, all right, if he just puts it together late in the offseason or late in the season after the deadline, we can get the exact same haul that we, would have at least this past offseason, pretty much, if not better, if he puts it together. I just think there's no point in taking a lower offer if you're the Marlins. They're not in a spot where, unfortunately, they're competing anytime soon.
Yeah.
So they can take their time.
What's the worst case scenario where you keep him around, right? Like, let's say he just keeps losing. Like, let's say that's the absolute worst case scenario. He stays at his ERA right now, and he keeps struggling. Well, you're really losing anyways in that scenario. You're not exactly, like you said, Zach, he's not in a spot. They're not in a spot where they're really competing. So let's say worst case scenario stays exactly the same. You can pretty much do whatever you need to do with him in the offseason. Best case scenario, you keep him. He comes back to Cy Young form. Of course, that's a pretty strong best case scenario. But if you get a guy who gets his get back, like that's pretty damn good to have around. And let's say best case scenario, you get rid of him, he stays at his production, but you don't really get a big return on that. Worst case scenario, you get rid of him, you get a low return, and then he's back to form, and suddenly you've got big buyer's remorse. Like, there's really not many situations where trading him leads to a better outcome than if you had kept him around and then traded him later. So I agree. I don't think there's a big case for him to be going anytime soon, really.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think that the upside for him is still so high. And for the Marlins, though, it's going to be hard to poach maybe a deal that you'd want unless some team is desperate. And there probably will be desperate teams because of the team control that Sandy has, but there is risk that he's not going to work out for you. And when there's risk, some teams are not willing to make that gamble here. So we will wait and see what happens here on that. But we are starting to get into the trade rumor season. We're about 2 months away from the trade deadline. It's a lot of time and a lot of things can happen, but it does seem like Sandy's a name I'm sure we are going to hear a time or two over and over again. And again, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show, do this live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you're just tuning in for the first time, we talk about a lot of baseball things during baseball season. We're based out of the Baltimore, Maryland region, but we do like to talk about all other sports. When we get into the fall, we will talk football, but there's just a few things that are happening in the baseball world that we'll continue to talk about here. Just like upcoming, we will talk about another team in the American League that is extremely troublesome, especially to the Red Sox faithful, the Boston fans. They're worried about their Sox. And there is a few different voices here. When you listen to it, you can go, man, that sounds a little bit dysfunctional here. One other note, I saw in the chat, and I saw that Ken Rosenthal put something out about that the Orioles are in discussions to bring in another hitting coach or mind in John Mabry. Am I reading that correctly, Zach?
Yes, you are. So he is pretty much looks like he's, I would assume, if it's, everyone's kind of talking as if it's a done deal, he would serve as a senior advisor, just kind of bringing in some sort of experience to help with the staff that, and the article points out that it's now first-time manager in Manzolino, first-time hitting coach in Cody Ashe, first-year bench coach in Robinson Chirinos, and just the second year for pitching coach Drew French. So pretty inexperienced staff right now, and I think this is a good hire just to kind of get someone who has the experience, another voice in that locker room. I mean, let's be honest, things haven't been going great. So what is another voice in the locker room who has experience, who has been there, done that? I think it's just a solid addition to the, I think at this point it's one of those things where it's like, I think they needed to fill a role. I mean, obviously Tim Cousins and Brandon Hyde, that's 2 less coaches on your staff. And I think this helps, 1, take a little bit of pressure off some other people, and 2, just allows them to maybe have someone to bounce stuff off of.
And John Mabry was down there in the past years when Skip Schumacher was down there with the Miami Marlins. So he has the experience there. He did obviously spend time with one of those teams, the Arizona Cardinals. And if you guys are wondering with Mike Elias, where did Mike Elias start his journey? Actually started with the St. Louis Cardinals. So did I say Arizona or St. Louis?
You did. You said Arizona.
Oh, the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, they might. They might have met out in Arizona, but you know what? They have their spring training down in Florida, so that makes sense, right? No, it doesn't. St. Louis is down in Jupiter. But John Mabry, though, it is a guy when people are saying, hey, another voice, another veteran type mind. Look, I'm not saying that's going to come in and change anything, but it is an interesting concept here that there is trying to be some change. But what I do wonder with that, though, is if you bring in someone else to the staff for this season and it's brought in from the front office, is that someone you're willing to have on your staff for next year without having a manager in place? You see what I mean? Because usually a manager that comes in can kind of pick their staff. But maybe they're going to talk about a manager that has a connection with that person that you're bringing in, and maybe that would entice them to be there because you already had him on your staff.
Interesting to see. Interesting to think about.
Why would the Orioles do that?
Why? Sam, why?
Why would the Orioles?
Why would they do that?
Oh, you got me.
That'd make me so happy.
I'm just saying there are some questions and people are starting to murmur. And they're wondering if intern Sam can do 70 squats today. Just kidding, Sam.
I think I could do 70.
With the weight vest?
With the weight vest, maybe.
Consistently?
Not, consistently? With the weight vest, it would probably be a little inconsistently, but I think I could do something around that. I used to have to do I ran cross country when in the fall every year in high school, and so we'd have like dedicated core days. And one year my personal trainer actually was the health trainer for us and was like the conditioning coach. And he would run us through some stuff. He did this like suicides adjusted gauntlet. But what he would do is instead of just doing suicides, you would have to do like these walkout planks each time. So you'd get into the plank spot, then you'd walk your feet all the way up, and he'd set the edges like maybe 50 yards apart. And you would bounce between that and hit little intervals like you would in suicides, but instead of running and sprinting, you would do those little walks. So he would run us through that, and then he didn't end up coming back just because of conflicts and stuff like that. But he's an excellent trainer. So do you think that would help you do 70 squats? I'm just saying that I've had to go through some stuff when it comes to athletics, so I think it would help me doing squats. Yeah, your new nickname might be Timu Kevin. Come on, I thought that was gonna stick for like a day. Incredible. I'm never gonna be able to escape that. Hey, Trizzle, we're not picking on the small guy. If you watched Zach yesterday, I pick on him all the time because he'll also come after me about fitness, and then he loses the challenge, so he does it.
My glutes are on fire still. It just was.
I've done I did my 25 consecutive burpees straight. I'm game. I got it. Burpees are no joke, man. Damn right they're not. You know what? Because we like to work in here, Sam. Get it done in here. Work in here. We try to get it done. And the Orioles and all the sports teams that you love, they try to get it done on the field. Doesn't always happen, though. Doesn't always happen here. But you know what does happen? We talk about baseball. We like to have fun. We talk about foosball, football, anything else at the right time when we need to. When have you talked about foosball? That seems like an interesting topic to go over. Well, we actually do have a foosball in storage. We have a foosball table. Okay, I just haven't seen that yet, though. No, you haven't been here long enough. You play your cards right, you might be able to see it here. Like Zach's been with me almost from the beginning. He still hasn't seen it. You know? Well, then how am I going to see it? Exactly. I gotta play my cards really well then, and I might have to play cards that you don't even know about if I'm going to see the damn foosball table. For sure. And you know what? I want to answer a couple questions because we like to do this during the time frame here. Scott, thank you for joining the program, and I will answer your question. You guys do know, of course, that if you trade a pending free agent, you can re-sign that. Wait a minute. You can do that?
Little Aroldis Chapman to the
whoa! No, I agree, Scott. And all jokes aside, of course I realize that. But my thing is, personally, more times than not, when someone goes elsewhere, they don't come back.
I was going to say trading can easily have that kind of impact on a player, even if their contract doesn't get picked up by the team that they go to. When you get traded, there can be a lot of the mental the mental side of that, of this thinking like, these guys don't want me around.
Yeah.
And so even if that's not really the case, sometimes that's how the impact can fall. And so the offer to return can often get a lot higher from a guy that just got traded, because it's almost like a restitution deal where, you trade the guy kind of feels like he isn't wanted anymore in the clubhouse, even if you want to try and sign him back. And so suddenly, his asking price goes up, even if realistically to re-sign him without trading him would have been a much lower price.
And also, too, the one thing for me, the human element, with some cases, some guys will say, hey, it's just business. But let's just say you trade a player somewhere else and he loved being here. And all of a sudden, he goes somewhere else and they win, or he goes, man, I really love being here. And that team that just traded for you and said, hey, we love you here, we want you here. Don't you think that can sway you in a certain way?
Absolutely.
And so, and the Orioles, when we're looking at the facts of it, they traded Austin Hayes. Why? Because they didn't plan to re-sign him. They traded Trey Mancini. Why? They didn't plan to re-sign Trey Mancini. So you see where I'm going with this. It's not that you can't re-sign a player, but I think if the Orioles make that move, you're saying that we're okay with the possibility that we might not get you back. And I think that's something, if you truly want to keep your guys,
keep them.
You find a way to keep them in Baltimore before letting them go elsewhere, because then business is business and they got a lot of business decisions to make. So that's all I have to say about that. Are you giving me, or the snaps? Is that a thing? Are we implementing this now?
You should. It's a good system to have.
No,
it's
he
not.
might be Timu, Kevin. This is tough.
Come on, man.
That's okay. You're a good kid here. A lot of good kids out there. There certainly is, and maybe that's a good little quick transition to a good kid out there that's crushing the baseball. Baltimore native, friend of the show, friend of the program, friend of yours truly for a very, very long time. How about Gavin Sheets? Yeah, I think the question needs to kind of change to people's thoughts. Where would the Orioles be if they had Gavin Sheets? They might be in first.
Yeah.
Where would the White Sox be if they had Gavin Sheets?
In first.
Really?
In third. But in all jokes aside, Gavin Sheets is off to a roaring start right now. Already has 11 home runs. But here's my thing. Zach, we saw it. He had a huge game the other day. He had a base hit the other way with 2 strikes off of Sandy. And I'm going, hey, buddy, you got to get on 2. But you know what? He's not built for speed. I get it. I understand. Then he goes big ball, Zach. But it's not just that he went big ball. Gavin got a little frisky right there. He had a little bit of a sauce there. Can we pull that clip up? So we got a few things we're going to break down here. So first off, just the swing itself. I got it. Look at this thing. Really good swing. I think he believed it was gone off the bat.
Yeah, I would hope.
And this is where it gets interesting here. So for those that haven't played baseball before, when you hit the ball, you'll run the first base. But if you hit a ball out of the ballpark, you can, I guess, do whatever you want, Gavin. So Gavin starts going towards third base.
I've never seen someone do that before.
So it's almost like this is in reverse, right?
He wanted to touch home twice.
And then he gets going. Finally gets going. What happened to acting like you've been there before? Right? Just another day at the office, right? But no, I can't believe it. I can't believe he actually is dirty. He slid that game.
Yeah, look at that.
Little
dirt.
mark on there.
Unless he just did that, so he looked at it.
He is a show guy. So no surprise to me if Gavin just rolled around or just went into the clubhouse. They try to rub up the baseballs, just put it on his pants.
Stole some of that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But in all seriousness, Gavin Sheets is a good kid. One of my best friends. So happy for him. The Padres, they're playing some great baseball right now. Playing some great baseball, and he's having a career year to start. Already 11 home runs on the season. So he's already going to set career highs there. And we'll see where it goes. And he went in on a non-roster invite. And it goes to show you in free agency, you never know fully how it's going to play out until you get there and you see what guys are capable of. But I'll tell you what, a lot of teams had probably the opportunity, but it wasn't on their bingo card that Gavin was going to be rejuvenated, just like it probably wasn't on people's bingo card that Ryan O'Hearn would become one of the top left-handed bats in the American League and in all of baseball here in 2025.
Yeah, I saw it coming.
Of course you did.
I saw it coming down the road. I love that man.
Yeah. Well, Alex, don't you? Sheets might have saved himself from being dropped when Cowser returns in fantasy. If you do that, you'll have the curse of Gavin Sheets. I'm going to tell you that right now, Alex. If you don't want your fantasy season to go down the drain, then do not drop Gavin Sheets. He'll haunt you. He'll haunt you in your dreams. He'll haunt you in your nightmares. The only thing you'll think about is what could have changed if I just kept Gavin Sheets on my roster. But Colton Cowser, speaking of him, Zach, I hope they give the kid a chance to come to Baltimore. It looks like he's starting to figure some things out there down in Norfolk. But it looks like the Moo Man, the return is imminent there. And he's having a good day, except he can't hit a home run.
Yeah, 3 for 3, 3 doubles, 1 off the wall. Gotta get the warning track power. Better there, Colton. But yeah, good day. They're not in game. He and Westy are not in game 2 of the doubleheader, which makes sense. There's no reason to.
Oh, we're not gonna get out there and get our work in, fellas.
I'd be so mad if I was on rehab and they were making me play a doubleheader. I'd be like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Get your work in, get out.
I guess the kids just don't want to play anymore.
There's no more drive, no more love for the game.
Yeah,
It's all disappeared.
Yeah, unbelievable. Get your work in. Job's not done. Job's not finished. But in all seriousness, job is finished. The rehab assignments, they go down there. They look like they're getting back. And I think it's crazy when you think about it, right? How teams, you have the functional pieces to go out there and have success, and they have been missing 2 of their bigger pieces. Like you can't underplay not having Jordan Westberg all-star last year and Colton Cowser almost rookie of the year last year. That kind of matters. And then, by the way, you had a banged-up Gunnar to start the season. You had a young Jackson Holiday that's finally emerging to be one of the best second basemen in all baseball here, especially in the American League. So things are trending up. But, Zach, you know where things are not trending in the right direction?
Where's that?
It's up north.
Yeah, old Boston.
Beantown, baby. Have you seen what's been happening?
Yeah. It's been, we want to talk about dysfunction. Red Sox, a team with a lot of hope this year. Started off hot, started off great, but falling back to earth, and it's been kind of tough recently, and it feels like they're in a similar situation as the Orioles were kind of like a year ago, a year and a half ago, where it's like, hey, they're kind of just tossing a lot of guys out there, young guys, hoping that they can play different positions, and maybe it's not all working out.
It's not. And it started from the beginning where everyone was very high on the Sox. Why? They were aggressivo this offseason. And Sam, if you didn't take Spanish in high school, I'll tell you that's aggressive.
I took Russian.
In English. So. In English, it's aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
So they were very aggressive in the offseason. They went and got Garrett Crochet, and then they extended him. He's looked great. They got Walker Buehler on a deal because they wanted to improve their pitching staff. And then you go out and get Alex Bregman, who until he went down was one of the best signings this offseason. He's been playing extremely well.
Yeah. But
in the process, you piss off the player that has been your franchise guy in Rafael Devers. You tell him you're not playing third anymore. And then you have an injury to Tristan Casas, a very young, talented player on your team. Now you want Rafi to play first, and he says, nah, I ain't doing that. Bregman gets hurt. There's just so many parts to this. And, Zach, where do we start? Do we start with Alex Cora's comments, or do we start with Ken Rosenthal first?
Let's start with Ken Rosenthal, and then we can get for the outside perspective. Then we can maybe get Cora talking.
Okay, so Ken Rosenthal was on Fair Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, talking about the dysfunction with the Red Sox and how their pieces just aren't being put together correctly. So let me play that clip for you guys right now.
Conversation the other day, Ken, with Pedro Martinez, obviously Red Sox lore, and he said that Christian Campbell is so good, they're trying to make him bad. What is your perspective of them having so many different players out of position? I mean, they obviously like him. They gave him a big deal, but they're having him take ground balls at first base. He may play there this weekend. You also have him in the outfield. What's your take on that situation?
I like that comment from Pedro. And generally, when you talk about prospects, what do you hear from teams about positions? Well, we want to let him settle in. We want to get him settled at that position, and then he can make some versatile moves later. The Red Sox aren't doing that. Marcelo Meyer comes up. He was playing shortstop in the minors. Then he played a little bit of second base, and he's a third. Campbell, as you mentioned, Alana, is going to play first this weekend. They seem to have all of these pieces in the jigsaw puzzle in the wrong spots. And Trevor Story, one of their big contracts, 8th lowest OPS in the majors. So there are all these things going on with them, and none of them really are good. Christian Campbell is a player who, yes, has struggled at second base, so they're thinking, why not play him at first? We don't want Devers in the field. That seems to be the message here. We don't want Rafael Devers wearing a glove. So, okay, that's fine, but you're compromising perhaps some of your young players by putting them in uncomfortable spots, or at least unfamiliar spots.
That is certainly true. And you can say that the performance from Rafael Devers, as far as his bat, that hasn't been affected or impacted. He's done his thing. But as far as the other players trying to fit into this roster, there's been some rough parts. Tension would be a word that we'd throw around here. A lot of tension.
I think the phrase, right pieces, wrong place is a really great way of putting it. And I like Ken's quote on that. You have the guys. You have guys who can deal damage and really play the game of baseball. But, you're shaking the foundation on them, and suddenly you're making things, more contentious than they need to be. And so you're seeing problems from the bottom up instead of the top down in that regard.
Yeah, and also guys that are trying to figure it out at the big league level, Christian Campbell being one of them. People forget this is him getting his feet wet at the big league level, and now he's being asked to play a different position. But also you can just sense when you lose games, what does losing cause, Zach?
Issues.
A lot of issues, right? When you keep losing, people get angry. Yeah. People aren't happy. Are you happy when you lose?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, and are you having a bad day again? It's like when Gavin Sheets, before you found out Gavin Sheets had a home run. You okay?
Yeah, it's just one of those tough ones.
You have done a lot of losing, which we will talk about in a minute there. But we'll turn that frown upside down. But see what I mean? It can impact you.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you don't think it's impacting the rest of the organization. You ain't watching closely. It's pretty evident. And actually, Alex Cora about this whole situation was asked about, well, is Rafael Devers, what's the situation there? And it wasn't really asked about playing third necessarily, asking about first base. But Alex Cora made it clear where Rafi will no longer be playing. So I'm going to play that for you guys, and we're going to react on the other side.
Homestand, you were talking about Devers, and you said he still views himself as a position everyday player. Is there no ground balls at third, like start the process? Is there just not going to take them?
Not at third base, no. And we keep talking about the other position, but as of now, it's not happening.
Ongoing conversations?
We always have conversations, yeah.
So there's more conversations about him possibly
Not
at first
more.
and third?
Not more. No. Third base, he's not going to play third base.
But I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that I'm not misunderstanding. So there have been conversations about first base with him?
We're still talking about the situation, man. Like, this is where we at. There's a chance Christian's going to play first base this weekend in Atlanta. Yeah. There's conversations. I don't have to go specifics, but the third base part of it is a no.
You had said about a week ago that Christian was a 2.5 or 3 on the scale of 10. Has he ramped that up, and where is
he? Did. He feels we talked a few days ago, and he's like, I feel confident. So there's a chance he'll play one in Atlanta.
So That to me is probably one of my favorite clips of the season so far. And shout out Nesson right there where the clip came from. And that's Alex Cora, big league skipper for the Boston Red Sox. Zach.
Yeah.
You know, he views himself as an everyday position player. And Alex Cora is just like, yeah, but he's not a third baseman.
I mean,
it feels you can feel the tension.
I was gonna say that's such in the air. The way he was conducting himself, he seemed really upset when he was taking that interview. At least until they got into the Christian Campbell bit, but that was a tense interview.
It's we talked about it all off season when they first got Bregman and it was made a thing. And, Devers was like, no, I'm a third baseman. Like, I don't DH. And then they're like, no, he's going to DH. And then you kind of felt like for a few days it was a big story. And then everyone's like, you know what? This is going to be a non-story. This is going to be something that a few weeks into the season, everything's going to play out. It's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. Winning fixes everything. And for a minute it did. And then things have gone poorly, and now we get very tense interviews. We have rookies being forced to play places that they aren't comfortable. And really, it's hard to play. I mean, that's just so weird for him to be like, no, he's not playing third. Like, that's the position they roll out. So it's very clear that there is some tension in that Red Sox locker room. I don't think this is something, I mean, we talk all the time. There's things that the analytics can't show. There's things that don't show up on the stat sheet. And your locker room is one of the big things. And right now, I think you can very clearly say that they do not have a great locker room going at the moment. It is probably a lot of tense conversations going on in there. And I'm not feeling like it's probably the loosest, most laid back vibe at the moment in there.
Well, it also doesn't help when you've lost 5 straight games that dropped you under 500. So after they beat the Orioles in the walk-off by Rafael Devers in extra innings, they have not won a baseball game since. They had a brutal loss, specifically in Milwaukee in extras, where they threw the ball away and whammy, that's that. But now they're 4 games under 500, sitting in 4th place in the American League East. They have some young pieces with Marcelo Mayer and Roman Anthony and those guys that are ready to make more impacts, but they don't have the construction of what they want to be. And then, by the way, the guy you're paying the most is definitely the most ticked off, but he can compartmentalize things, but you can't say that about the rest of the group. And you know what, for the Red Sox here, it's not getting much easier because tomorrow night they're going to Atlanta and they're facing a Braves team that's starting to pick up some momentum and they're getting healthier here. So everyone out there, it's not just the Orioles. There's other teams that are having some troubles here so far as we move into June, just a few days away. And guys, as always, appreciate you. And if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. Do this every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube and X. I know we had a little trouble broadcasting with X earlier, but I think we're getting that back up. Sam, over here. Good. I don't like the snaps.
Well, why not?
I'm more of a spank guy, but or slap.
Slap guy, okay.
More slap guy, but
more slap than snap.
More yes.
All right.
But I appreciate you guys. And again, if you're new to the channel, we do this. We talk a lot of ball. We like to have fun. We like to keep it loose. And we like to have some fun. And sometimes we have more fun days than others, especially if you get into that whole betting world side of things here. And Zach, it's a good time. We take a quick trip up to our friends at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Oh, man. And you know what, Zach? We're talking about being cold.
Bad.
You like the Red Sox. Losers of 5 straight. And for you, it's 5 straight bets. And a big reason was you chose Aaron Judge last night. It wasn't because he didn't give his best effort, just didn't get maybe the chances you were hoping for.
Yeah. We make the comparison to, is this the greatest, run since Barry Bonds and all this. I didn't think we were going to get to the first 2 innings, 2 intentional walks by the Angels. I figured out pretty quickly that bet was, I was like, okay, the only way he is pitched the ball is if he is in a low leverage, nobody on base situation. And every time he came up with someone on, it was just take your base. And Ron Washington thought it was funny. I did not.
You certainly didn't. And they did it early and often yesterday, walking Aaron Judge. This is the first inning here.
Interaction between,
and just seeing the interactions here, right? Laughing, joking, because it's like, hey, we're putting you on because we're laughing about this, because if we don't do this,
probably going to hit a homer.
Yeah, you're probably going to.
And, of course, the one time he actually gets pitched the ball, he flew out to the warning track, and I was like, that checks out. Checks out.
So we're 0 for 2.
Yeah.
We're 0 for our last 5. You got to get out of your head. We got to figure out, how do we get back on track? So where are we going, and what are we doing to get you out of this slump?
We tried to go with all reliable. Didn't work. So now here we go. We're going with the opposite. We're going with the first timer. First timer. Why not let the most under talked about, hottest rookie in baseball get us back on track? Jacob Wilson, 2+ bases. That's how we're going to do it. Do it for the sack.
Do it for the sack. The Athletics.
Yep, the Athletics.
And they're struggling, but they have Jacob Wilson, who right now is one of the best contact guys in baseball.
He's got over 200 at bats as a rookie, and he's batting 348. It's ridiculous. And he's got the weirdest swing state. Like it is the opposite of what they teach you. They're like minimal movement, and he's like, I need as much weird, funky movement as possible, and then I'm going to hit a slap single the other way.
He's one of those stances to start where you tell your kids about. Just like growing up, it was Chuck Nelblock, Kevin Youkilis, Craig Counsell for me, Tony Batista. If you guys remember Tony, he would stare at the pitcher's mound like this, and then he'd turn in to hit, right? Like those.
Yeah.
This can be our versions, or this generation's versions of new batting stances, right?
I will say, though, it was when I'm sitting there watching Aaron Judge, the one time I root for a Yankee to produce, and then Ron Washington is just on screen laughing. I was like, Ron, this isn't funny.
I think this is at you, actually.
Yeah, this wasn't between Judge and him. That was him seeing my reaction at home.
That when Ron realizes Zach's bet is not going to cash.
Yeah, literally.
Beautiful. And you know what? Let's hope you get back on the horse. 2+ bases for Jacob Wilson tonight. And if you want to ride with Zach on this, well, then guess what? Sign up with ESPN Bet, the official sports book of ESPN. Bet $10, get $100 in bonus bets. And if you sign up, you get 30 days free of ESPN Plus. But here's the deal. If you download the app, you must be 21 or older. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit our friend, or call our friend, I should say. Don't visit him. He won't answer your visitations, but call Rocco DeSangro. But we haven't seen that guy in a while. That's why.
Him in years.
In ever. But we might see him on June 28th, because on June 28th, we will be going up to Charlestown, West Virginia, where we're having a little get-together. And yes, we'll have some Orioles brass, but we do know on the national side, how about Mr. National, Ryan Zimmerman is going to be on site. So we're going to have a chance to sit down with Zim, talk baseball, apparently he is an unbelievable golfer, and just really what's been going on in his life at the same time. So Hollywood Casino, Charlestown Races, June 28th. We will remind you guys as we get closer. And thank you to our friends up there at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Beautiful. Good kid, man. I don't care what they say about you, Zach. I don't care what Sam's saying about you.
Hey, I haven't said anything about him at all.
You're a good
kid.
kid.
Quiet over there.
Yeah. That's intern Sam, Timu, Kevin. You pick. They're both winners in your eyes. Oh, man. It's been a great day so far. Excited. Got a new interview that will drop on Sunday. Unfortunately, couldn't get it all clipped up for you guys for this show. But we do have a few more topics to talk about here. I maybe on this case, because we have a little bit more time, and we will talk a little bit of foosball, just because Mr. Joe Flacco had some comments up in Cleveland, which I just always love hearing from Joe. Old Joe, friend of the show, friend of the program here. But I saw someone say about with Adley Rutschman, right? And I think if we're going, can Adley be sent to the minors for him to figure out his issues?
A strong ask right there.
So here's my thing with all this happening. We're looking about, if you do it, what's the pros, what's the cons? And for me, I don't think that there's any reason, in my opinion, that Adley Rutschman needs to go to the minor leagues at this point in time. There are things he has to work on. There's things he has to get better at. But going back to the minors right now, that's not the move. And also, what does that do to him? The number 1 overall pick, who was an all-star 2 years consecutively, and the face of your franchise just last season, and still, in some people's eyes, is still one of the faces of the franchise at this moment in time. But then also, what message does that send for who could be coming up next? We released that video we talked about Sam Basayo yesterday, right? And he's waiting, he's lurking in the shadows. Adley's also looking for a contract extension. I think the best thing for Adley Rutschman is you stick with your guy, but clearly something's got to change because the results are still the same. Adley his eye at the plate's still very solid, but he's not having the results swinging the bat. He's a little bit banged up again, obviously, taking the ball off the face mask, got back in there yesterday, didn't look the part. I do think, and it's wondering, Zach, and I've heard people talk about it, maybe it is time it could have been a long time ago, but taking the pressure off of him and moving him down the order, saying, hey, we still love you. Yeah. But he's come up in big situations and hasn't produced.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things where, you're not going to send him to the minors. But moving him down to 6-7, I don't think is the worst thing for him. And it doesn't have to be permanent. This isn't something where it's like, hey, you're now the 7 hitter for the rest of your career. Move him down. Try to take some pressure off him. He doesn't have to be the guy that's relied on to make everything work, because I think there's already enough external pressure on him. You don't need to keep adding to it, putting him up at 2, putting him in at the 3 hole, having him set up to be in these big situations where if he doesn't come through, the spotlight is more on him. I think, I don't want to call it hiding him, but kind of just pushing him down the lineup, try to get some pressure off him and, let him build up. I mean, we saw Jackson Holiday. That's what happened with him. Obviously, he started at the bottom of the lineup, but that's where he began the season. He got rolling, and once he was kind of got his footing back under him and he was like, okay, I'm ready to roll, they put him up top and he just kept going from there. It's a lot easier to maybe get going down at the bottom of the order when it feels like there is less pressure.
Yeah. And also, too, it's two sides of this, right? When you put him up there, it says, hey, we're not wavering from you. But also moving down, in my opinion, isn't that we're wavering from you either. The reality is for Adley, it has been rough. It's been tough for him. And part of it's been bad luck. The other part is just not continued success. And you can look at the numbers and say expecting batting average can show you being unlucky. But after a while, people want to see the results fall. They want to see the action. And that's been tough to come by. And I see that Colton Cowser's coming back soon. Jordan Westbrook's going to come back soon. Probably going to want those guys near the top of your order. Personally, that's what you'd want. So it would be maybe a perfect storm to move him down. And I understand the flexibility of being a switch hitter. That does help, right? And that does add to the equation. I still am in the thought process. Yeah, you want to try to even out your lineup, but I still think when your guys are swinging it really well, put your better hitters up at the top of the order. Like I saw Ryan O'Hearn. I like him hitting 4th or 5th because of the RBI situation. But if you were to move him up to 2 yesterday, I'm fine with that. Why in that circumstance? Just because he can. But I also am fine if Ryan O'Hearn stays in that 5 spot. Why? It's a good RBI spot. But you need someone to be able to pass the baton along. And I think that's the part where the Orioles are trying to search for it yesterday. In the story of the game when they lost, they had opportunities with runners in scoring position that their guys didn't come up and make that hit down the stretch. St. Louis had 2 big innings. 2. That was it.
Yeah.
Orioles were rolling through 4 or 3, whatever it was, right? They were in control. And then a 2-out single that scored 2 runs, cut the deficit, and then a 3-run home run and whammy. Right then and there, they're back in front, right? So, or 2 home, whatever it is. I'm losing my
Quick
damn
aside,
mind.
you know, I didn't want the Cardinals to win that game, but I gotta say, I'm happy for Brendan Donovan. I love Brendan Donovan, and to see him show that he can hit the occasional home run was really cool. Obviously, don't want the Cardinals to win, but really happy for Brendan Donovan about that.
What I did hear right there is that Sam
Hey,
rooted.
Let's
almost
not.
like Kevin yesterday saying, I care about
The player. It was like, care about the player, not the person. We're like, what?
Yeah. Kind of sounds very, very similar. No, but in all side, I love that because you know why? It's the human element of the game. There's guys all around the league that you cheer for. And in that case, he could have had his success and the Orioles still could have won too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still a winnable position to be in, especially Donovan's not a guy who normally hits home runs. So, you get in that situation, you go, okay, I didn't know he could do that. You still got to play baseball. So it was still, it definitely put them in a tighter situation, but it was still something they could have gotten themselves out of, and they didn't.
No, and they ultimately, for the Birds, what you need to have happen, you got to avoid the big inning. And honestly, for Cade Povich, when he has had trouble, it's been a bad inning. And I don't want to say it was even like awful, but in this case, he had 2 innings where they put up crooked numbers, where he was lights out for the other innings, right? So there's the example there. Really good. You have a blip, and then you look up at the final numbers for his stat line and go, damn, what could have been? And then for the Orioles, still, there's that side, but you're in this game, and you have your chances to draw closer or put it over the top, and it's just not that complimentary ball, and that's the part where for Baltimore, and that's what continues to plague them, are those situations there. And that's why I think a lot of pressure has been on Adley Rutschman when we talk about this, is because the team is struggling, and a guy that had been a big producer in big moments in the past. Now, it's been a little bit. It's been over a year, but Adley Rutschman was one of those guys. So it's frustrating, I know, for fans when you look up and you see a guy that in 2024, had a tough second half, but still had 19 home runs and almost 80 RBIs. And the year before, he had 20 home runs and 80 RBIs and hit 277 while scoring 84 times. So you're sitting there and going, where is that guy that we saw that helped transform this team around? I know that's where people are looking at. So I understand your frustrations. I get it. I hear it. I see it. But you just hope over time that he can try to get back on track. Because at the end of the day, reality is the Orioles usually play better when Adley Rutschman's going. And when he's not, you also have seen those results. And it's correlated. Second half of last year, up and down, Adley had his struggles. This year, teams had many issues, but also Adley has had his struggles. Hey, but if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We're live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube and X. And wherever you want to get podcasts, that's where we record it. We put it out later, but the live action is on YouTube and X. But check out Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review. We post 3 episodes a week. I think I will start to add those Sunday episodes, the bonus. I was wondering where Ollie went. Ollie looks so sad over there.
Cross on the couch.
Oh, he seems so sad. Ollie, what's wrong, buddy?
Puppy.
It's because I wouldn't let him try to jump up on the bar. That's why he's upset with me on that.
I just don't even think he could. Like he maybe would have been able to get up, but in the situation when you were standing on there was no way he would have been able to get up there and then stand up there.
Yeah.
But if you give him his
doubt
chance,
my dog one more time, Sam.
If you give him his chance now, I think he can do it.
Doubt my dog one more time, Sam. This is unbelievable. Hey, I was going through this. Ron, hey. What's up, Ryan? Boys, it is my birthday. B-Day shout out, please. Hey, we'll shout out you. And I will see you around the yard. See you down at Pickles. But happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. So shout out to you. We try to keep up with the comments when we can. Sometimes it can get a little bit crazy in there. It also is Throwback Thursday. And I understand Brooks is a little bit upset because I posted a photo of 15 years ago, Sam. Gilman Greyhounds won the MIAA Conference Championship. It was our first championship in 15 years. And that was my last championship I had ever won on a baseball field. How about that?
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Every now and again when I'm going down Northern and you peer over and you can see the Gilman baseball field, I'll see them playing. I haven't really kept up with MIA baseball outside of friends not doing too well. I love that team though. They got some awesome guys, very close friends of mine on that team. But every now and again you can get a sneak peek of Gilman baseball when you're going down Northern.
Oh, the Hounds, baby. But that's the new field. Back in my day, we had the old field faced the other way with no fence. And then we put up a fence. Then we won some games, and then we lost some games.
All it took was the fence.
Yeah, but it also goes to show you winning's hard, man. I laugh about this because it sounds, where people can say, oh, winning's easy. Well, you get to a point where you don't get to win anymore. It's done. Like, if you're done playing, you're done.
Yeah.
And I say that out loud. Like, I won one more championship in 2012 in basketball because your boy, put up some points. And we had a great team. It was fun. I just had to say that because I hate getting doubted on the basketball side of it. I get called an unathletic avatar. So I get a little bit. You haven't heard, I told you that story.
I know the
right?
avatar story. I don't know the unathletic avatar.
Yeah. So, Sam, since you don't know the avatar story, I was at South Carolina my freshman year at a little get-together. And a girl ended up snapping a photo and goes, and took a photo of me and said, oh, sorry, I meant to take a selfie. I was like, oh, okay. Like, no worries.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier that night, we had talked briefly, but I was in a relationship and I just didn't show the interest.
Mm-hmm.
So that night, that photo that flashed gets put on Twitter back then, now X. And it says, look at Ryan. I met Ryan Ripken. He is so hideous. He reminds me of those avatars. Like the movie Avatar. The ones that guys that are blue.
The blue guys.
And are 15 feet tall. Apparently that's what I look like.
Damn.
But I also was like, damn, she thinks I'm tall. Like, that was cool,
I'm glad that's what you took from that. You take it as much of a compliment as you can.
I did.
Situation.
I did. I think my favorite comment was that someone else said, like, he's not that bad. I wouldn't go as far as say Avatar. And I'm like, well, how far are we going here? But in all seriousness, right? Like, that's just the name of the game. So, yes, Zach, I get a little, it reminds me because people think I'm just lanky, unathletic, but I got off track and off topic. The point where I was trying to go with this is my last championship I won in baseball was 2010. My last overall championship in any sport in those ranks was 2012. Now, I did win a basketball one a couple of years ago when I finally got back into playing. We won on our Sunday league. Shout out the squad there over in Arbutus. But winning doesn't happen very often. I got into pro ball. I had 1 year where we popped bubbly and we clinched to go to the playoffs, and then we clinched to go to the championship, and then we lost in the championship to the Yankees, the Trent Thunder at the time. And that was the closest thing I got, and that stung. And then that turned out to be my last moment. And I bring this up because I know Orioles fans, you can relate of going, you're a fan of this team. The Orioles have not won a World Series championship since 1983.
Yeah.
That was my dad's second year in the league. He played 19 more seasons. Or 2001. So, 19 total more. Or 18.
Yeah, 18.
Tomato. Gilman education. And,
ooh, okay.
The point where I'm going with this is I still remember him telling me, we won. I go, man, I'm going to be able to experience this again. And he never did.
Mm-hmm.
Not once. Not even go back to the World Series, Sam. Only went back to the playoffs after that 2 more times. So when you put that in perspective, that's tough.
Mhm.
So cherish the moments that you have. Enjoy those moments. And that team, that photo I put out on Instagram, we were 3-16 the year before. A lot of losing. We were the worst team in the conference. And then next year we were 27-5 that won the whole thing.
Mm.
And at that time we had talent, but did people think we'd be that good? I don't think we even thought we could be that good.
Mhm.
That's where the whole thing, some beliefs, some confidence can be a recipe for success. And obviously you got to be able to make the plays when they matter. And we were fortunate enough to do that. So it was great. It was great. I don't know. I guess I'm starting to sound like a bit like Al. We're talking about Al, like the B, like Al Bunbury back in my day.
Reminiscing.
Hey, Trizzle, you haven't seen Avatar. You don't need to. All you need to know is that I starred in it. That's all you need to know.
Oh, really? I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Apparently, how many more movies of that are they trying to make? They're trying to make like 6 or 7 more or something like that. There's like 2 trilogies still coming back from that because they finally got the sequel out a couple of years ago, and then they got like this. The director got a big deal, and he's got like 5 or 6 or 7 more of those lined up. And like when I went to go see that, I was like, this is it's pretty cool. I don't know how you're gonna get 2 whole more trilogies out of this good though. Right, like with something like Star Wars, you got big story,
28,000 movies,
huge world with just so much going on. You make a hell of a lot of movies out of that.
Are you a movie guy, Sam? Do you like movies?
I mean, like kind of. I watch stuff here and there.
Okay.
I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, well, the YouTube's fine there because Zach hasn't watched a movie before, so it's not.
Yeah,
a big
I'm
deal.
not quite in his corner. I wouldn't consider myself. People call, like the kinophiles. Like that's not me.
Do you know who Ludacris is?
Oh, I know Ludacris. Yeah.
Okay, it's a start. Luda. When I move, you move.
Just like that.
Hey, you don't know it well enough there, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but you know what? 2 moments here for Steve. And Steve, I see you're in Norfolk too. Boots on the ground, but we have 1 and then make it 2.
Woo!
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. People helping people. And if you guys want to become a channel member, there he is. Ollie has arisen. Mr. Puppy.
He's on the move.
He's back. Guess who's back?
I don't think the current wide shot camera is able to get him in right now, but he's moving over to the bench now.
Mm-hmm.
Here he is.
People are starting to wonder, Zach, why are you so sad?
Am I looking sad?
Kind of. It's kind of like last week. It's because
I think it's the weather. I thought I was maybe it is Aaron Judge.
It certainly isn't Gavin Sheets because when Gavin does
it certainly
well,
ain't Gavin Sheets. I'll tell you that. It's not Ollie either.
Ollie, Mr. Puppy.
Who
No,
could
it's
be
not.
sad around him.
Who can be? Zach.
Look at that. Look at that.
You're try and get him up on the chair. He might be able to get in the shot. Or if he doesn't,
He's just,
no,
he's just showing off his pink ball.
Mm-hmm. He's got a little ball in his mouth.
Mr. Puppy. Oh, no, get away from that. Get away from that. Good boy. Good boy. You know what today? And Chris is saying here that, the Orioles haven't been the best for everyone's mental health that are Orioles fans.
Yeah, you know what?
Is that how you feel?
Sure. That's how we'll go with it,
this could be this case. Maybe you don't have beef jerky on sale. I get sad too.
There's no beef jerky on sale. Beef jerky is fantastic.
This is a good little thing before we move on. And we will get into some call-ins. And Sam, intern Sam, I know you got to roll soon.
Yeah,
right?
I think once we get to the end of this tangent, I think I'll have to take my leave. Let's hear the jerky tangent.
No, I think it's not even jerky tangent. Jerky's great. No, it's about what is something that turns your frown upside down. So Zach, what is something besides a bet hitting?
I was gonna sound like if Aaron Judge wouldn't be intentionally walked last.
No. You can't. That's it. We're not in that territory.
No, is it a nice Klondike bar? What would you do?
Klondike bars.
For
I used to
a Klondike
eat so
bar.
many Klondike bars. It was a problem in college. I'm talking I would go through. There was because it's always those, when you would just have a random phase of something. it was like Klondike bars for like 2 weeks. I remember going through probably like 3 boxes of Klondike bars. So it was like 6 each, like 18 Klondike bars in like a 2-week period. And then I couldn't eat them for a while after that. Like
I would definitely be in the same spot.
It gets to a point. But there was a weird phase where I was eating a lot of Klondike bars. Klondike bars are good though.
Yeah.
It would depend, sometimes you have to get, because there's different flavors. Mint chocolate chip. Do you guys like mint chocolate chip ice cream?
To an extent.
Are you kidding me?
It's people who hate on it, I don't understand.
Time out. Which flavor, which color of mint chocolate chip?
Oh, I prefer like just the white vanilla one. Are you a green mint?
I like both, but I was a green guy.
I think both are.
Green just makes it.
Briars, I'm thinking it was Briars was the.
Yeah, Briars did the white.
Yeah, I think that's
there's more mint chocolate chip outside of the green one.
Yeah, you can have. Oh my goodness, I forgot. He just was born, like recently.
I never knew that they made non.
Sam has never been to a grocery store right now.
Okay.
At all.
Okay. But
next time you go in, Sam, you go to the frozen section and you go and look for non-green mint chocolate chip ice cream. And one more thing, when you do go into a grocery store, what is something that gets your mood boosted? We have something else that gets our mood boosted in a second. We're going to get to in a second. Hopefully Zach will show some enthusiasm one time. But Sam, grocery store, you're walking in. Okay, it doesn't have to be a grocery store.
Because apparently I've never gone to a grocery store.
Yeah, hypothetically, you go to a grocery store.
All right. If I go to a grocery store and I'm looking for something to get my mood up, that's what we're on right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Something that I've loved for a couple of years now when I was working my deli job is I would do a lot of stuff stocking soft drinks, like, Coca-Cola, Sprite, stuff like that, all the soft drinks. And I would, I'd come across the Arizona case, and I'd never really, at the time, I hadn't really tried Arizona before, and I was like, this looks kind of cool. And I was looking at flavors. I was like, I'm not really a green tea guy, so I'm not gonna go with that one. I'm not the biggest just straight up sweet iced tea guy, so I don't think I'm gonna go with that one. And I came across the Arnold Palmer for the first time.
Oh, you brought that in.
I did have it. I don't know if it.
Arnie Palmer alert.
Yeah, it's. Had the first one there. I was like, that's for me. That's the one right there. And so I've had a slight addiction. I don't consider myself a big caffeine guy because I don't drink coffee. I don't drink soda. I hate soda. I can't stand carbonation.
This is a random question here. Are you allergic to nuts?
No, I don't actually have. Okay. I don't have any food allergies.
Never mind. Okay, so I was kind of. Never mind. Go ahead.
No, it's not a Kevin thing again. I don't have it. I don't have any. Don't have any. I know. I was bordering on there, but I don't have any food allergies.
This is a sweet love story about how Sam came to love Arnold Palmer's. So Arnold Palmer's makes you happier.
It does, yeah. It helps me out a lot. It used to also be when my dad one time bought me like a thing of Haribo gummy bears, and I was like, wow, I haven't had this in a couple of years. I was like maybe 14 or 15 at the time, and I hadn't had them in a while. Last time I had them before that, I was like maybe 9 or 8, and I had one, and I was like, what, these are I don't remember these being so good, and he just like kept buying me more as the weeks went on, and he fueled like a mini addiction on that for a couple weeks when I was in like my late freshman, early sophomore year high school. But I've since moved on to the liquid heroin that is Arizona Arnold Palmer.
That's how the story ends.
It's not.
You know what? That is how the story ends. Holy shirts and pants.
See, Laura knows what's up. Arnold Palmer's are delicious. It's a Southern thing.
But that's not what you said. I know, at the end of it.
I know. I'm just in the extent that I can't stop drinking them if I try. I do need them.
He is Timu Kevin. That is a way to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm. With that in mind, I think it's about time that I need to get out of here. So
yeah,
It's a great way to go out.
That was a way to
And the stream is now suspended. Thank you very much, intern Sam.
That's what I'm giving. I'm taking all your ad money. It's gone.
Perfect. And shirts and pants. All right, Sam, I do appreciate you. Now get out of here.
Great being on here. Bye, everybody.
Hey, congrats on your first time behind the sticks.
Woo!
And something that our listeners will never forget is that final moment. To wrap up this,
Making my mark.
Yeah, wrap it up, though. You got to find something you like. You know, growing up for me, going to the grocery store, I was a big green mint chocolate chip fan. I actually got to a point where I would put green mint chocolate chip ice cream and then add in Oreos and kind of crunch it up. That's what I like to do. See you, Sam. Be good. So I always loved that. I always loved a good drumstick. I was a big ice cream guy. And then on top of it, if it wasn't ice cream, and I know it's not necessarily saying grocery store, I had crabs Memorial Day weekend. If I have crabs, if I go and pick up crabs, I'm locked in. I am the happiest of happy because I can just sit down there, go to town, go to work. We're going to have some conversations, maybe have some adult beverages if you're of age, and just enjoy the experience. And that's what gets you fired up. And Zach, maybe finally you have to get incentivized to get fired up because of Molly.
Wrong one.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I made the camera too high, but thank you, Molly. Appreciate you.
Is that your inside voice? At least be a little bit more excited. Why am I more excited than you?
Because I just hit my head on I know they can't see it, but I did not realize we had a lot of shorter people back here. I just hit my head so hard on the camera up here. But thank you, Molly.
There we go.
There
a little
we
bit
go.
better. Concussion
Actually,
protocol.
you know what? It probably makes her feel better that while I stood up to do that, I hit my head. So
concussion protocol here for our guy. Goodness gracious. You know what? There are some similarities for Kevin and for Sam, and they don't want to admit it, but there are some similarities. And one thing that they do have in common as well is height is not on their side, and that camera that we have for our last one is the highest that it is. So certainly that causes some issues. But hey, guys, you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Appreciate the ones that have become members. And Nick, you're back. You become a member again. Was it so you could reset and not get the Rocco emoji? I don't know. Perhaps.
Yeah, honestly, that might not be a bad strategy.
It really might not be. Really might not be. And Baltimore, Inner Harbor, and crab cakes, good memories. And you know what they say, Brian? Crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does. And what movie is that, Zach?
Wedding Crashers.
Thank you. I was a little bit nervous there. Good kids, man. We got some good kids here. We'll do a little bit. We'll open it up to the chat here to our channel members to join, and we appreciate that. So we'll open that up here momentarily. But did want to talk about one thing, just because we do talk around baseball and football. So I guess two topics. Last baseball conversation, when you want to think about things going bad, going poorly, right? The Texas Rangers, and it's also like the grass isn't always greener. And when you have issues on your team, firing is not necessarily always going to get you out of it. So if you guys remember, the Texas Rangers fired their hitting coach because, well, guess what? They weren't hitting. And that was a problem. And Texas then, there was a little bit of a moment. They felt like they were getting on track. Well, guess what? They are ice cold, and I mean frigid. They are now 27-30, losers of 8 of their last 10. And I think this was the stat that just blew my mind when I was reading up on the Texas Rangers. You guys ready for this? You ready for it, Zach?
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it right now. So this is according to Michael Beer, covers the team over there in Texas. All right. The Rangers starting pitchers have allowed 3 runs or less in 19 consecutive games. So let me say that one more time. The Rangers starting pitchers for 19 straight games allowed 3 runs or less, which is a franchise record for the Texas Rangers. During those 19 games, the Texas Rangers have gone 9-10. So franchise record for 3 runs or less, and they have a losing record over that period of time. Woof. And Texas, it's a golden opportunity for them, and that division is still open. They're only 4.5 games out. But think about that. You want to talk about issues and making changes? Sometimes it doesn't happen. And Mike, the Rangers might be the new Mariners, and the Mariners might be the new Rangers. Are the Rangers going to figure it out, and are the Mariners fine, Zach?
Mariners are looking good. I mean,
Houston's right there, too.
Yeah. I mean, you can never count them out.
They still got to be the favorites. Yeah. H-Town's got to be the favorite. People don't like them. They're inevitable.
Yeah, but
that's a movie quote. I'm inevitable.
Yeah. Sure it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, is that Thanos?
It has to be.
Yeah.
I will say I never got like fully into all the Avengers movies. I'd watch them, but I feel like I'd watch them at different parts. Like they're on TV all the time, and I've seen the ending probably 20 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look at that. I've seen, then they throw in, Captain America movies and everything going on, but then I feel like I get lost in the sauce of where the translation is there. Yeah. Right? I will say. But I'm proud of you. And Total Thunder's proud of you too.
Don't let the kid get hot. Don't let the kid get hot. Something's cooking.
Oh, look at that energy. Just change like that.
Yeah, I need to nail a movie reference. That's just the thing. I just gotta nail a movie reference from the logo. Neither of us knew. I just threw one out there. It's like yesterday with Shrek.
You did.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Onions have layers.
Yep. Yes, they do. Like people.
Patrick, we did talk about this earlier. How do you feel about the Mabry signing? John Mabry, do you think it might hint that Schumacher is coming?
Ooh.
Why would you think that, Zach?
Why would they do that? It's interesting.
It makes you think just a little bit of what could be and what could happen. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, so many things to still be sorted out. But first things first, if you think that John's going to come in and be the savior as well, it's not fair to him. I am just curious what things are going to entail. And the Orioles, their biggest thing is win this next series. Go beat the White Sox, go win the series, and see what can happen from there. Before we open up the phone lines, last video I wanted to show you is actually a little bit of football related. But our guy, Mr. Joe Flacco, friend of the show, friend of the program, OTAs were back in Baltimore. They're back everywhere. There's not a ton of news to talk about for football of what do you think is going to happen this year? Wait a minute. Lamar Jackson came to OTAs. That's great. That's awesome. I think, honestly, if there's one thing, it would be Joe Flacco and the Browns. Why? Because they have 4 quarterbacks on that roster that you think may or may not have a chance to start. So you have Joe, Kenny Pickett, Shador, and Dylan Gabriel. The last 2 were draft picks this year in the 3rd and 5th round, respectively. So Joe was asked again about the mentoring approach because he was asked about that when he was here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I just kind of love his response. So 92.3 in Cleveland, I believe, had this video out. So let's play that, and then we'll get to our call-ins.
Point you can kind of use it because it's a good question to bait somebody into answering, and no matter how they answer it, it kind of makes the guy that's answering it look bad. If I say I don't want to be a mentor, I look bad. If I say I do want to be a mentor, then I look like an idiot that doesn't care about being good and playing football. So it's one of those questions that no matter what I say, you guys can write what you want to write about it. And there's a lot of questions like that. That's why you end up having to try to avoid them. I tend to try to be honest. And I've said I'm not a mentor. I play football. And in a quarterback room, there's a lot of times there's been a ton of times where there's learning experiences. And I have a lot of experience and I can talk on things. And hopefully they listen. But it's not necessarily my job to make sure they listen to me. And hey, hopefully you have a really good relationship with the guys that are in the room, and you naturally want to do that, but that's Yeah, that was a long-winded answer, but that's ultimately why I think you guys ask it, you know. Here's the thing is, like, because of what I just said, like, you're acting like I wouldn't want to be a mentor. It's like, once again, it's not really about that. It's just not the main focus. I see myself as a guy that can play in this league. So if your main focus was just like, hey, but I'm going to get you ready, you're just not taking care of business. The best way to be a mentor, honestly, is like show people how you go to work, you know, and like I said, hope that they pick up on that stuff, but not necessarily force them to pick up on the things that you do.
I'm the rookie and the vets. Joe Flacco. Hey, you know what? He's not wrong with that. I think it's just
that was wrong.
No, but I think it's just because people want to say, I'm going to welcome them with open arms, you know, and even I've seen Aaron Rodgers talk about it with Brett Favre, and Brett Favre even talked about it when it pertained to Aaron Rodgers being drafted. They handle it different ways, but never at one point did they say, yeah, my job is to mentor. Mm-hmm. But if they're here, I'm going to help them. We're a team. We're going to be in the room. We'll talk about experiences. I think just Joe's also saying, like, hey, dude, I can play too. And I want to go out there and be the starter. But it doesn't mean I'm going to hinder their development if they ask questions or we're in there and I said, hey, I've been through this. It's the same thing what happened here with Baltimore and Lamar. Yeah. He didn't hate Lamar. He had no problem with Lamar. He was a starting quarterback going into the year. And if they talked about it, they talk about it. When Lamar took over, all Joe did was be supportive.
Yeah.
Right? The perception. Man, we need Joe to start.
Yeah, I mean, and like, let's talk about end of 2018. Joe Flacco, as a starter, he gets injured. It's Lamar's team. He never looks back. Joe throughout that early process said exactly almost like he said now, hey, I'm not here to mentor him. I'm not here to be his coach. I'm here to play football, try to win football games. And if he has questions, if I can help him, I'm going to help him. And you would see Lamar, he would go make a mistake. He would do something, or he would make a good play. And then afterwards, he'd go to the sideline and you would see RG3 and Flacco sitting there, coaching him up, going, okay, on this ball, there's the famous one of Joe Flacco doing the, over the shoulder fade where he's showing Lamar, like, you got to hit him here. That's where we're looking for on that play. Look over here, go there. And it's little things like that. Is Joe Flacco going to sit down every single night with Shador, with Dylan Gabriel, I guess with Kenny Pickett, and be like, okay, class is in session. What do you guys all need? No. But if one of them comes up and is like, hey, don't understand, what should I do here? How can I help this? What's this stuff? Joe's going to help. He's always been that guy. He's going to help the team. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be, okay, I'm holding, 3 hours after practice every day to teach these quarterbacks how to do this. He's going to lead by example, how he goes about his stuff. And then if they have questions throughout, he's going to help them and he's going to be there for them. I think this was the perfect answer for him.
I think it was too. And for Joe, I just hope one thing. I hope we see him in Baltimore in week 2. What happened to my hair? Goodness gracious, here. Heel cinnamon. Did my hair just poof up?
It does that.
Sometimes I thought it was looking good, and then it's kind of back. It's not as good as Joe Flacco's hair. But Joe, at the end of the day, it's like I agree with you. Gave a good answer. He's going to go out there, do his job. And then on top of it, you're going to see a guy that's going to continue to be a pro. And he's stayed around for a long time, and he should. I think he should start the year. I do. And I just really want him to be able to start actually in Baltimore. It'd be a really, I know, strange moment for fans. But if he's got to play against the Ravens, I hope he gets to come back and start against the Ravens. I think that would be a cool moment because you know what? It's all love for Joe, and the city's got nothing but love for him back. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube and X. And it's almost Friday, and today we're finally opening up. The call-ins are back. We're starting to get things sorted and rocking and rolling. Back in the Discord, which you guys can join. It is free. It's free to join in there, and we're starting to get our guidelines and our situation right. We're getting it right, and we're getting it tight. Channel members, though.
We brought the British in to take care of it. Is that not what we did? Is that not what we did? We went international? Is that not what we did?
We did.
Thank you.
We did. You know who's also international? Bud. He's live from Switzerland. Joe Cool is a good kid. Man, he is a good kid. Good kid. No doubt about it. And you know what, though? Why don't we get to our first call in that we have so far? And I think he is boots on the ground still.
Yeah.
And Norfolk. Let's bring in Steve. Steve.
Yes, sir. Still boots on the ground.
How's it going, my friend? I have one of those hats, by the way.
Had to cop one.
Yeah.
But, Jordan Adams just beat out an infield single. But it's actually a smaller crowd than game one. A lot of people left after game one, but Lehigh Valley won that 8-2.
Oh, because people just want winners, Steve. They don't want to see losing, you know?
Yeah, good point. But also, I am partaking my first Orange Crush, which is to my right.
Well, we'd like to hear.
Wow.
Steve.
Coming a long way.
And I think I'm starting to get addicted to them. But I'm having fun. And you know what? Bring Callister back up to Baltimore tomorrow. He looks ready.
I think he will be, Steve. I think he will be. So, Steve, we're going to have to let you go because the audio is really messing with some people. So we're going to hop in and get you in the future if that works. Can you hear me? Well, now.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Steve, just because the audio is so bad, but next time you come on, you're at the stadium, I need a full
Orange Crush.
1 to 10 Orange Crush review. So this is your homework for when we talk next, okay? Okay, 10. So we already said it. It's a 10 already. So we're going to do that. And we're going to have to talk about what else you saw down there with Norfolk. And we can compare hats because I have about 7, 8, 9, 10 of those puppies laying around. So, Steve, we're going to let you go. You're the man. I appreciate you. All right.
Awesome.
Enjoy game 2. If they lose again, it's on you. Just kidding, Steve. He's a good kid.
You.
But I love the fact he's getting into the Orange Crushes, man. And Steve, if you're still behind the scenes, I'm actually going down to VB. I got to go to a wedding soon. So we'll be in contact. All right, my friend? Maybe I can hand deliver some things to you too.
Ooh.
Hey now. All right. Let's bring on our next caller. He is chilling, and I don't know what time it is over there.
At 5. So it's like 9:15. It's a reasonable time that we're talking to him, probably for the first time.
First time, yeah, on this program. It might end up being it, but he's also one of our new moderators there on the Ryan Ripken Show Discord. From across the pond.
The British are coming.
The British are coming. Nick.
Oh, the hat.
Wow. Nick, you got to unmute yourself, buddy. Nick, you're muted.
My lord, I made a rookie mistake. You can tell I haven't done this for a while, huh?
Nick, how's it going?
Wow.
You know,
the myth.
This has been in the works for so long. Discord took a shit, and well, we're all the way back now, so I can finally
tell people we're back up now.
We're all the way back, guys. You can join safely. Nobody's going to fire a rifle through your ear. You're all safe to join. The British are here.
The British are here, and you know what? It is. It's been great. You know, that was something we've been trying to get in the works for a while. It's not perfect, but I appreciate your help as we continue to make it a place. And for those that are wondering what the Discord is, it's a free Discord where people can talk about all their interests in sports and some other hobbies. And now we're starting to get it tightened up here. And Nick, you've been a part of it. You're also becoming a true Marylander through and through right now. I mean, the glasses, the bandana.
It looks incredible, man.
Amazing.
I did actually have a shirt as well, but it turns out that, you know, I'm rather large, so it didn't fit. So we're just going to have to pretend that I have an Old Bay shirt also.
Hip, hip, Old Bay, Nick. Hey, so talk to me, man. What else has been going on?
You know, man, we've just been enjoying the Orioles getting some life back in them. It hasn't really been a great season, but hey. You have to take it for what it is, and that's baseball.
It is baseball, my friend, and we'll see what happens here. But you know what? In Baltimore, for the first time, I should say the first time, but over the last few years, it's having two teams that people look forward to. And it wasn't always just waiting for the fall. It was people couldn't wait for the spring. So hopefully the Orioles can get back on track. We talked about it to death. We know the Ravens, they got those expectations. And as long as number 8 is at quarterback for the squad, those expectations are still going to be all the way up there. And excited to see where it could lead this year. I know you're excited for a little football this offseason, or this fall season, I should say. It's getting
Absolutely.
closer.
Every day we get closer to Ravens football. And this year, I think the Ravens have a golden ticket. They're the best team that they've probably been in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most complete team too. So I'm looking forward to see what we actually do going forward with that.
I'm interested too. A lot of excitement, and we know it's also exciting. We got it. I know it's on the works, but getting you over here, stateside.
Yeah. This time next year, I would have my tickets already booked. So we finally have agreement with somebody to look after all 4 of our senior dogs. So we're looking forward to finally making the trip stateside.
Heck yeah, man. Well, hey, Nick, I appreciate you, man. I'm excited. I'm so happy you're back in the Discord. I'm so glad your aura is back because I can't wait for it the rest of the way. And as we start to get things going here on the Ryan Ripken Show back, everything's starting to get back in line. I think we'll try to designate our Thursday, Zach, is kind of how I'll line up. When we do have some guests, and I know we can blame them, we do have to give them the courtesy because they're taking the time. We were supposed to have a couple people in studio today, Nick. So that's kind of why we're like, are we going to do this? But let's plan on that. Thursdays, we get it back, and we can see your beautiful mug more and more. But anything before I let you go?
You know what? It's great to be back. And I'll say to the guys who are hesitant about joining the Discord, get in there and get involved because it's going to be a lot better going forward. What you see now is only the tip of the iceberg. We're getting deep into it, and we're going to make this place somewhere fun for everybody to be in, a safe place too.
Damn right, Nick. The British are here. They're not coming. They're here. All right, Nick, appreciate you, man. You have a day, have a night. It is already nighttime. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great stinking weekend, my friend.
I appreciate you all. Take it easy.
Awesome, Nick.
I love that said known Discord guy at the bottom. Phenomenal. It's always the little clues with Nick that you always got to check what's happening here. And I just put the Discord link up there, by the way, as we continue to enhance it. And he is right. We are just starting with that of revamping and trying to set the guidelines. Everything that we're doing, we're enhancing little by little here at the Ryan Ripken Show. I mean, hell, where our setup is now, what it was last year, drastically different. We're not even our second year into doing this yet.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about.
It's crazy here. It's crazy. Well, let's keep the call-ins moving. We'll move on to our next one. She hasn't been on here in a while. I know she's popped up on Kevin and Zach Reacts. So let's bring on your friend, my friend, Laura. Laura, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Arnold Palmer aficionado, too, by the way.
I am. They're really good. They're good drinks to have if you're someone who doesn't like soda or wants to get rid of soda or get soda out of your diet. If you use unsweet iced tea and diet lemonade, it's great. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
It is a good spot.
From somebody who had to quit her, 6-pack of Pepsi a day habit, for health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Arnold Palmer was a good thing to switch to. Water gets a little bit plain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I used to be obsessed with all Arizona iced tea products. We got a little visitor.
My daughter is home for the summer. This is her cat, Astro, who's decided to come sit on my lap in the middle of all of this.
Oh, yeah. Ollie, come here. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy.
Introduce Ollie to Astro.
Yeah, I'm curious how that will go here, actually. Come here, Ollie. Come on.
Astro's I like to call Astro my little Black Panther because he really kind of looks like a.
He looks just angry. You know, are cats angry?
Astro's not angry. Astro is just he's just happy to be on a lap. That he's a lap cat. You know how lots of cats can be very aloof and whatever. That is not Astro. She got Astro from the pound when he was a baby and has adapted him to where he likes to be around people and on people and everything else. So he is just a lap cat. This is his lap cat.
And this is my lap dog. Ollie, who's that? Who's this? Ollie, who's that right there? Hey, right here.
Ollie's not even looking. Ollie's like, I don't care.
He's actually kind of looking at himself. He's actually really looking at the camera. He's got both paws on the damn. He's actually got both paws on the table. Zach, get a photo of this.
He's getting ready to start typing is what he's doing.
Ollie.
Oh.
Ollie, come back on here.
Astro decided he didn't want to be a part of it anymore. He's gone.
Oh.
So, I mean, you've already talked about all the stuff I wanted to talk about. So we talked about Mabry, you know, we know about the team. I mean, early in the chat, you know, when it started 2 hours ago, I put some stats in there, you know, about, you know, what the team's record is right now, how many games they'd have to win in order for them to get back to being the, you know, the Mets of last year.
Right.
There's only 107 games left. They'd have to win 70 of those to get to 89 and what was it? 89 and 70 something, 89 and 72, I think it was, which is what the Mets were last year that got them a wild card spot.
Yeah, they got a lot of work to do. And I mean, the reality is, Laura, we don't know what's going to happen. And the odds are going to say
surprise us and win those 70 games. I would be surprised more than anyone if they did it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just call a spade a spade. They got to win. They got to win a lot if they're going to have a shot. And if they don't, well, then the chance to win next year that's what it's going to have to be. It's the way it's. Really? Sorry, Ollie's entertaining himself at the moment there. I was wondering why was it just thundering over here, and Ollie was chasing himself around his tail. But I'm with you, Laura. There's so many things going on. The sports world and your team. The reality is only one team's going to win it at the end of the year. But I know a lot of people want more, and I get it. And we're going to be here to cover it, good, bad, and the ugly. And then we're going to continue to enhance the empire, as you would like to say, over and over and over again. So we're getting
a media empire, Ryan. Just embrace it. Just embrace it.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else before I let you go,
the
Laura?
world. Nothing else. Just go have a terrific Thursday, fantastic Friday, a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Perfect. And I know you'll be calling in with Kevin and Zach, as you always do. And I'll check in to make sure those kids are hanging in there as well. But Laura, have a great stinking weekend. Appreciate you and great seeing you.
You're all good kids. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. It's always good when you get called a good kid yourself. You know, I will say.
It's nice. There's something about it.
Ollie.
He's back on the.
He's looking back at it right now. Come here. Chris, we actually can talk about this right after when we bring on our next guest, and we'll wrap up the show then after that. But he's joining in. He joins us up there at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. We were off there in West Virginia. And he'll probably be back if he's around too. Let's bring on our friend Joey.
Howdy.
Joey, what's going on, man? Oh, Adley Truther in the building.
Oh yeah, till the day I die, man. Because I love an underdog, and Adley went from the 2-time All-Star to now all of a sudden he's a bust. So now it's like I'm even more on board.
Mm-hmm. I'm not jumping ship on Adley, and I stand pat with that. You don't jump ship on talent, especially a guy that had been a 2-time All-Star that helped your franchise turn things around. And clearly there's a lot of things going wrong, not just with him, with this team. So give the benefit of trying to get through it and work through it to get back to what he was doing.
Yeah, and the injury doesn't help. Like, I wonder, because he had that night, before he got hurt, he took a game with 3 walks, and 3 walks in one game, to me, that's really impressive. That shows great discipline. That shows you're kind of turning the ship around. You're seeing the stuff that you want. And then he gets this head injury, and we all know how head injuries are. And it's just like back to square one. And I couldn't catch the game yesterday, but I mean, you see the strikeouts, and people are saying the swings weren't looking good. But even through that, like you said with Baseball Savant, you look at his expected batting average, it's still really high. Like I still believe in the turnaround.
I do too, man. I mean, look, the reality is, and we've seen it with all types of players, right? We don't know which way they're going to turn out. So, like, top players in baseball right now, okay, Ohtani, yeah. The ones that we expected to play well, Zach, right? Ohtani, Judge, Gavin Sheets, Mookie Betts.
Gavin Sheets, baby.
Freddie Freeman, Gavin Sheets. Gavin Sheets, I think this is the official program of Gavin Sheets now.
This is the Gavin Sheets show.
It is the Gavin Sheets show. He was a little bit offended that I didn't have him on, or he thought that I wouldn't invite him back because of his antics last time. I'm like, well, antics? You just had awful cell service, and then you try to take a shot at the host here. And he thinks just because he can hit some big balls in the big leagues that Big Brother over here isn't going to put him in his place. He's coming back on soon, though, Joey, so don't worry. But point being, Ryan O'Hearn was a guy that people didn't expect that's developed into a really, really good hitter. Nick Pivetta out there with San Diego is a guy that was trying to find his way in Boston, goes out west, and he's playing very well. Guys don't have the right necessary plan to get going. Doesn't mean that they won't get back to what they were. Now, there is a chance Adley might not get back to what he was. There was always that chance, but
at least this season.
But when you're watching it, he's seeing the ball. Like, that's the thing for me. It's not a part of it to me is the mental and a little bit mechanical because he's still late on fastballs and it's just not hitting it the way that he wants. But he's not jumpy, if that makes sense, Joey. So he's taking pitches well. He's able to work walks. The problem is when he's going to swing, he's not making the contact that he wants.
People were saying it was a little like uppercut or whatever, but that's atypical for him. I always thought he had a more sound swing where he can put the ball wherever he wants. But I guess, and then I would ask you for nuance on the subject of people want to move him down in the lineup, but for me, it seems like his approach is infectious. And when he's up there towards the top of the lineup, the more pitches come, the pitcher gets worn out. The pitcher mentally is like, oh my God, like, great, this guy's back up. This is going to be a full count. Like, is that something that really affect other hitters on the team? Is that something that teams value, or is it a results-driven league through and through?
So I understand you're saying about moving up and down in order.
It's just it's like, oh, we're gonna move them down, and that's somehow gonna better affect our team, or it just doesn't make any sense.
So I'll do it this way. When guys are going through it, sometimes you still keep them in the same spot because you believe they're going to get out of it sooner than later, and you're going to trust your guys in the situation. So, for instance, and these are superstars, right? Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. You can go to the Aaron Judge, the Ohtanis. They're locked in their spot. And then you have Juan Soto. Juan Soto's had his quote-unquote struggles. Guess what? He's going to stay in that spot. Why? You're still trusting the player, even in his downtime, that he's going to be able to impact this lineup and keeping him in that one spot. And Adley was that guy for a long time. But I think now that it's been such a prolonged situation and you're going to have a Kowser and a Westberg come back, the discussion could open where if you got to get an extra at bat, Joey, and you want a guy that's swinging the bat well, do you want to give them another chance? So that's why, like, when I saw Ohtani leads off, Aaron Judge hit higher in the order, and now Paul Goldschmidt leads off for the Yankees at times, right?
Yeah.
Why is that? It's because, it's a different unconventional way, but if Goldie's swinging the bat well, you're going to give him one more chance. And I think that's the part. Adley's getting the extra at bat when maybe you could say is there a hotter hitter that you would want to have that chance if you get it? So that's where people are looking at it. So it definitely can impact, and also maybe take some pressure off of, hey, you don't have to be counted on to be the high leverage guy. But in the bottom of the order, Joey, he can certainly still have those opportunities to drive in runs. I mean, hell, Cedric Mullins was leading the team in RBIs and driving in a ton from the 6-7 spot, right? So it could be a thing, but I can see both sides. But if that helps explain it, that's where
I want to know if his impact with how good his ABs are, is that going to improve Gunnar? Is that going to improve the guys below him? The radius around him, it's like, oh great, here comes Adley. Or is this average, is this slump really that detrimental?
Well, I think also too, like, keep this in mind though. If you put in a guy that's raking in front of Gunnar, and Gunnar's a guy that's going to stay up in the top of the order,
of course.
That puts pressure. If Ryan O'Hearn, for instance, and I like him in the 5th spot, but say it's another player like I was trying to think. Ramon Arias,
Tyler O'Neill, Ryan Mountcastle, but they're not
any of those, right? And that was a different spot. But I do think Westberg, Cowser should be up there, and that's those guys that they're swinging it right. That's going to even protect them because they have Gunnar behind, but then also they get on base. It's really about putting more pressure on the team, and I think teams aren't fearing Adley as much as they normally would, if that makes sense. Like, fear is a real thing for pitchers. They make more mistakes, make more mistakes when they fear who they have up and who's behind them. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, I guess that's what's missing from his game this year, is that fear. It's that's the only. If he wasn't playing good, at least the hitters could still, like, people still feared Judge when he was slumping for what was it, the beginning of last season. But
because in an instant he'll turn it on. But teams are like, hey, we're going to go after Adley. We're going to attack him because, we get him. Now we just need to get the next guy out. But if that guy gets on, pressure's on. Oh, wait a minute. This is a big inning. This guy's a hot hitter. Pressure builds. Go back and look at this lineup for the Yankees. Then last couple things, I'll let you go then, Joey. Because we're just talking baseball as we're going through this. Where is the game last night with the Angels and the Yanks? And Zach, Aaron Judge didn't have a hit yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't get 2 bases, from what I understand. Joey, I don't know if you knew that, but Zach didn't win his bet yesterday.
I think it's time to stop betting. It's time to stop betting on the total bases. We got to go for certain outcomes now. We need singles, doubles, triples. Just send it.
So I wanted to look at real quickly that of the last few games, because I'm curious, because I hadn't been seeing or before I make this statement, I want to be very particular about it. Okay. Because I think I can make a very interesting point here. Oh yeah. Yes, I can. It's great. Hitting in someone that can strike fear can also bring a lot of opportunity. So if, in this case, though, Gunnar is a fearful player, right? If he hits third. The Yankees, Judge has been hitting third. You know who's having an unreal year that's hitting right in front of him right now?
Bellinger?
Grisham.
Oh, Trent. Oh, there's center fielder.
Grisham. And then guess who's sitting behind Judge? Bellinger.
Yep.
So right now, you're having a guy that's built confidence on both sides. So when they go through the meat of the order, they're always worrying about Judge. They are going to pitch Grisham a different way. And then they're also worried if those guys get on, Cody Bellinger can make them pay because there's a lot happening, right? So for Adley, it's the combination of he's just not getting the job done. And that for pitching staffs, I can tell you, when they know they feel like you can get one guy, the rest of it just seems like it's a diminished cause. But I think Adley will be at the top of the order as things progress. But right now, I don't think it's a bad idea to say, Cowser, Westberger back. We'll move you down. And when you get hot, we'll bring you back up. So that's kind of where I'm at. But last thing, Joey, before I let you go, it seems like a beautiful day for you out there.
It's great. It's a great day. I wish I could get the Blue Ridge Mountains in the background, but I'm going down to Baltimore this weekend. So if any of you guys are in the area, I'll try to say hi, go down Fed Hill, go crazy. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Oh boy. Fed Hill. That's where Zach used to live, actually. Not really, but, it felt like it's where he lived. Because every time I talked to him on the weekend, it was
felt like it was
down and fed.
Well, maybe I'll run into him. But yeah, that's all I got. Go O's, baby, this week. I think this series versus the White Sox is going to be fun, and I like the fight they had versus the Cardinals enough to keep me excited that they can get another winning streak going.
Keep fighting, baby. That's what we need. All right, Joey, be good. Have a day, have a night, have a great stinking weekend.
See you later, guys.
Also, we'll see you up in West Virginia. All right?
Can't wait.
See you, Joey. Appreciate all of our call-ins, and I really do love to do that, Zach. We love to do it. It's mainly just because of when we have guests and the schedules, and we try to bring on some great guests, which we have been doing for you this season. We do have a great guest, or at least it's joining the Sunday conversations. Maybe he'll be back for a live show in the future. He was one of my favorite guys to talk to so far, and I've talked to a bunch. But you probably, if you've been on social media, especially on Instagram, you might have seen some of his content with another very colorful individual. It's not afraid to go a little bit unfiltered, if you know what I mean here. But for our call-ins, for all those guys, keep in mind, when you join the channel as a member, get the opportunity to call in. So I appreciate each and every one of our members. Thank you for calling in. It was great. If you guys want to join. But if you don't want to join, that's okay. But at least hit that like button. That's for free. That would be great. A way to push to the rest of the people that are trying to find us and show everyone that what we are doing, and we like to have fun. We're based out of Baltimore, but we talk a lot of baseball. We'll talk football. We'll eat food like we did yesterday with the Iron Rooster, and then we'll be able to laugh, sometimes cry, not usually, but if we have to, we will. This is all about
necessary.
Because we're human. We are human. What's also human is to worry if your players are going to have success, fail, or, if they're going to resign. So right here, Chris. Hey, Rip, that's me. Did you address John Heyman's comments about the O's trying to extend Gunnar? Why are we just hearing about it now? Were these discussions recent? Can you provide any clarity? Were they close? Well, Chris, good to see you. Thanks for stopping, and thank you for the question. I don't think this is anything different. I think it's that John now has reached, just puts it out there. The Orioles, for as long as I can remember, especially over the last couple of years, have been kicking the tires on, hey, there's no secret. We want you back. What's it going to cost? And I think those are the conversations that you put out, and you put out offers. More times than not, you're going to say no. And you heard that even with other players around baseball. Teams will offer more team-friendly deals, and some players take it. Most do not. So I don't think there's really, to me, I'm not saying it's a non-story. I think this is something, Zach, that for me, it was expected.
Yeah,
now,
really.
would people feel better if you just saw breaking news, Gunnar Henderson signs extension? Right? Like, you might be going to do laps in the harbor right now if that were to happen. So I don't think that's a story. I think it's just that John's reporting like, hey, they are out there. And I did say that John, he can't guarantee, but he's heard that there have been fair offers involved. But when you have Scott Boras and you have a top player that you can't name 10 other players you'd want on your team for the next 10 to 12 years, you're going to get paid a lot. So I think that's just where it's at. I mean, am I missing anything there?
No, and I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, it must have been a bad, I think I've seen people being like, well, it doesn't matter if he didn't accept it. It must have been a bad offer. What are we, doing? Like, did they lowball? Juan Soto was offered $400 million with the Nationals. That's a very, very nice deal for the time. Bet on himself and went and got $700 million. So sometimes you can give a fair offer, but the player has to accept. So I wasn't surprised that they're like, hey, the Orioles have offered something, because I think it's due diligence. Of course, we've heard not this past winter meetings, but the one before. They asked Boras, they're like, hey, has Mike Elias contacted you about Gunnar extension? He joked, he was like, only every single day. Like, so they're trying. They are trying. I don't think this is something where it's like, oh, the O's aren't trying to extend these guys. It takes two to tango in those negotiations, especially when Scott Boras is the agent. He does not like taking guys, or he likes taking guys to free agency. And so it's going to be I don't want to say it's going to be interesting to follow because I think we all know how most likely it ends. You know, him taking guys up until the final year or so of team control. But you know, crazier things have happened. If you give an offer that Gunnar wants, why can't he stay?
Why can't he? I think that's the part that people are wondering is why can't he stay, and when are we going to have guys that have been here, that started here, that are going to continue to be here? That's everyone's biggest fear. It's not just Gunnar Henderson. It's a lot of players. Who is going to be a part of the future? Because there are players that people are starting to become attached to. And some of these superstar type players that have been in Baltimore, and they've had some, haven't been here long term. And one of the more recent one was just 7 years ago, Manny Machado, who has now been continuing his phenomenal and on pace for Hall of Fame type career. But he was a superstar in Baltimore. Didn't stay here. Team wasn't in the right position to win at that time, but there's an example. Even go back to the decades before. The Orioles chose not to sign Mike Mussina back. Mike signed with the New York Yankees. Mike Mussina was one of the best pitchers in the game. To me, he was a superstar pitcher. He went on to be a Hall of Famer. Those live in people's minds when it comes to now the current Orioles. And they got some decisions to make, and one definitely is going to be around a certain Gunnar Henderson, because at the moment, he is going to have the highest asking price. But unfortunately for the Orioles, it's not the only player that's going to have a high asking price if Jackson Holliday continues to ascend the way that we expect. You also then have a Jordan Westberg in the situation. But Holliday, Gunnar, I think Westberg might be a Boris guy now.
Yeah, Westberg's Boris.
You know, and this is the case. It's in Pigtown. You're right. Boris is the best in the business for the player, and it's not close. And you know what? This is the reality of the business. And this will kind of be as we wrap this up, this show. Sports are businesses, and the players are employees. And in this case, though, you might not get the opportunity to go out there and get what you think you are worth. And so Scott Boras has done a great job of that. If you're a client of his and you're in high demand, you get what you think your value is. Now, has he struck it out? And gosh, I hate that pun that I just used there. Yes, he has, though. But a lot of times he's had a lot of impact for those players. And also the players union, they support it because it's getting the players more opportunities. And baseball has probably the strongest union in all of professional sports. And they're going to have to make another decision upcoming here as we move in towards the offseason and beyond, where I'm sure there's going to be some more tension as it comes to a collective bargaining agreement between ownership and player. Because at the end of the day, baseball is a business. Winning is great, and you wish it could just all be about that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot more intricacies that go along with it. Yeah, and, you know, Mike, this is the thing, is like baseball, people, I think that's why people have nostalgia for some of the older generations. It's because guys played a lot of their time there. They loved the places that they were in. You know, my dad, when he played for the O's in all those years, that seems so foreign now because it doesn't happen very often anymore. I mean, Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera are two of the last to play their whole career with the team. Aaron Judge will be.
You would think, I mean, but that's even the thing. Like, you sit here and go, Aaron Judge will be. But even I could see Aaron Judge, you know, I'm not saying in the next 2-3 years, but in 7 years, 8 years, is Aaron Judge, part of a deal that goes, we've seen so many guys that it's like, oh, well, he's a career guy there. And then at the end of their career, they bounce around to 4 or 5 places. So, I mean, Madison Bumgarner would have never thought he would leave San Francisco. So I think there are just certain times that, yes, it's not necessarily guys floating around at, during their prime, but I still think even the greats right now, they eventually, move on and have to go elsewhere.
One thing that I think would help baseball in the long run, Zach, is, and I think it's starting to come back, but when you feel the camaraderie from a place, a city, and that's why I think the World Baseball Classic has started to have that impact, because it unifies an entire nation with one team, right? So you root for that team and you are invested. Same thing can be said when you're rooting for your team, but imagine those guys, are a part of that one team. I think this is, I go back to, gosh, I can't remember now a time, even when the Orioles were good in the late 90s, they signed guys, but they had some pretty impactful players that were a part of that roster. The Yankees, when they made their run, they had pretty impactful players that came up through their system and were part of that roster. And they were there for a long time. So it's good for the game. It's good. It's good. It's good. And time will tell down the road what will continue to happen. But hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show, we pop back up to, we've had a ton of people watching today, and we had trouble with X for a long time, and we're glad that got fixed a little bit. And we have had call-ins again. If you want to be a member of the channel, you can click join next to the like button, and that will give you the opportunity when we open up call-ins in the future. But if you want call-ins, you can also join and subscribe over to Kevin and Zach Reacts. They are on every single Orioles post game, win, lose, or whatever the heck's happening.
Every time.
They're on there, and you guys can call in each and every night over there on Kevin and Zach Reacts. You guys are the reactors if you join over there.
Become a reactor.
Yeah. For here we have Rips Good Kids and Holy Shirts and Pants, which we are getting in all of that good stuff. All right. Anything else am I missing? Am I good?
No, I think we covered everything we're supposed to.
Do I play the slap video to get us ready for?
Yeah, you want to enter the weekend with the slap video?
Yeah, we can enter the weekend with a little bit of fun, a little bit of, hey, how you doing? We did cook yesterday here, and I might have gotten a little bit carried away with how you make a good Monte Cristo sandwich here. So let me play that clip for you guys. Let me see if I can where is it? I had it here. I got it. Here we go. Hope you guys enjoy. Down. Little pat. Oh. Nope. You didn't hear anything, right? Did you?
No.
I didn't hear anything. Let's try it again. One more time for the one time. Down.
Little pat. Oh. Or smack.
No, right?
Spank.
Boom.
Maybe we won't enjoy it. Maybe lunch is canceled.
Let me try it.
Oh. Or smack. Or spank.
Boom.
Some bacon. Yep. Perfect. Yep.
Oh, it's working for them. It's us.
Oh, it is? Oh, well, if you can hear it, then, well, hey, enjoy. Enjoy my my expertise here, Brooks. Whammy.
Oh. Or smack.
Yeah.
Or spank.
Boom.
Some bacon. Yep. Perfect. Yep.
Turkey's really carrying his weight here.
Yeah. You like the turkey. Good.
Some would say it slaps, there's that extra that I gave it.
That was.
It's all about
spank.
love. The extra spank. I said slap, but it can be a spank too.
Yeah.
It's all with tender love and care.
As messy as it was, I'll clean up here. Don't worry.
But no one could spank it like I could.
Did I say that loud?
It sounded better in my mind.
Yeah.
Is where it should have stayed. You know what? It's out there. Put
It's live.
Put it on a shirt. Screw it. It's live.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
F it. It's live.
Thing sucks.
It's there's you just got to make sure to get that tenderness out of that sandwich. You got to give it a good smack or a spank, right? That's a good way to take it into the weekend here. I think, guys, we've had a great weekend. We have a Sunday conversation dropping for you guys. And since if you waited this long, I'll tell you exactly who we have that's joining. And he is a colorful individual. This Sunday's conversation is the one, the only Will the Thrill Clark. And I'll tell you what, man, you want to go into some hitting conversations, you want to go down some stories, but Will brought that and a whole lot more. So Will the Thrill is your Sunday conversation, and he is fantastic. So can't wait. That'll be great. Oh, well, you know what, Laura, that if you can name this song real quick, Zach, we'll get on out of here.
Smack that. Me some more. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Obviously I've heard it, but I'm
Smack that all on the floor. Smack that. Give me some more.
That.
Are you just singing it like acting like you're gonna know it?
Oh, no, I do. I have heard the song. This is like a party song, but no, I don't know.
Oh man, you're so beautiful, so damn beautiful. Different song, but same artist, Akon. Let's get on out of here. Oh, as always here on the Ryan Ripken Show. Have a day, have a night, have a great stinking weekend. We'll be back next week for a brand new week of shows here. Stay good, stay classy. See you next time.